What's up, everybody? Welcome to another DualShockers discussion video. I'm your host, Cameron Hawkins, and today I am with managing editor Logan Moore. Logan, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How's it going?
Sweet mustache.
Good, good, good. Video editor Mario Rivera.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good. And news editor Michael Ruiz. Ruiz.
Yes.
Did I say your last name right?
Hello.
Ruiz.
First, you said it right the first time.
Ruiz.
Said it right
Okay.
the first time.
I
Yeah,
forgot your title was news editor now for some reason. I don't know why. That threw me for a loop.
Not news editor?
I know.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
pretty. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. I was like, I'm pretty sure you're the new news editor. Okay. So we're here to discuss we're gonna rank the Assassin's Creed games because tomorrow we're gonna get our first glimpse at Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay, and we thought now would be a perfect time to kind of discuss our thoughts about the franchise as of right now. There's been 12 mainline entries since the original released in 2007. So we got a couple of games to talk about, to say the least. So I think we're just going to get right to it and start with the original Assassin's Creed in 2000 that came out in 2007. So guys, how are you feeling about the original Assassin's Creed?
It's pretty good. I mean, for the time, I liked it a lot. By comparison to everything else that came after, I don't know. Like, and by modern standards, probably not that great. But at the time, I remember it was like super novel when it came out, and I don't know. It's really weird that this whole series is still as big as it is to me in some ways, because I remember when this game was coming out and the hype cycle for it, it just kind of seemed like, oh, well, this seems like it could be a rather novel, cool, new little IP that Ubisoft's bringing out. And now it is this multi-billion-dollar thing where there's almost 20-something games in this franchise and a movie featuring the Magneto Man, who I can't think of his name right now.
Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender, yes. There's a whole lot of things going on with this. So it's weird that it all kind of started there. I think the first game, though, yeah, I don't know. I don't have super strong feelings on it by a modern standard because I liked it at the time. I thought it was fun, and I don't know.
Here, I'm going to go ahead and start hot. I thought this game was trash when I first played it, only because in my version of the game was glitchy because I couldn't get all the feathers. And it's still one of the games that I can't get the last achievement because of the damn feathers. And I'm really done. I don't like this game. That's just my first opinion of it. Now, however, I did like the characters at the time. I did like Desmond. I did like the future stuff, and I'm glad that started here. Up until when it carries you on to later in the games. Altair, to me, blank slate of a character, really is just Desmond in a hood. I mean, that's all he was. So I would say that for the start of the games, this is a weird time because this is the time where I didn't like Assassin's Creed, and I also didn't like Mass Effect at this time. Just saying.
Yeah, but what?
At this time, no, not 2020, not 2020.
What?
At this specific time when this game came out. So that's my hot take of the first game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
I just kind of to echo what Mario said. Assassin's Creed 1 was probably the first PlayStation 3 or game that I played on my PlayStation 3, which I don't know. Maybe it was a hot mess. But it was a good introduction to like that world and that cool assassin with the hidden blade thing and whatever. But yeah, Altair is kind of just like a blank slate of a character. He's nothing really. I don't think he's really anything that special. But the design of the character and stuff like that, and assassinating people or whatever, like the gameplay at the time was pretty, different. Yeah. I would say saying now and looking at really the gameplay is really boring and kind of not great. But for the time, I think it was something that was new and different. But yeah, again, I mean, if we're ranking these and going against everything that we have over here, I mean, maybe a mid to low tier.
Yeah.
For me personally.
Yeah, I definitely think Assassin's Creed is on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to the franchise. But at the time, I thought it was really cool. It was just the thing that was really annoying was just the things you had to do to figure out where your priority target was, like having to eavesdrop in conversations and things like that. But it was really cool how you could like, go into crowds of people and just blend in to hide yourself. And I really like the stealth mechanics that the game introduced. And I'm one of those people that in the minority of the Assassin's Creed fans that loved the real world stuff. So the first game was a really cool introduction to that, and then it just gets like so much more interesting and better in the following games leading on with Desmond. So yeah, I think it's a solid first game and for its time, but it definitely would be hard for me to go back to that game nowadays.
Well, I mean, just to throw this out there too before we jump on the next one, the one thing I really liked about this, and I don't know if you guys had played the Sly Cooper games before this, but it felt like a more mature version of the Sly Cooper games where it's like, okay, we have this target, it's this dude, here's why he's an evil man, here's why we need to do this. In these games, it's kill him. But it felt like a mature version of that where you were setting up for these engagements on these people and okay, where are they going, what are their routines around the city, when can we isolate them, when can we find a place to kill them? Well, we know he likes to go into this house and we know he's gonna make a speech at this time. And I don't know, I liked all those things and I like the setup towards taking these people down, but they were kind of one note at the same time. I don't know, I like the build up more than I like the execution of them a lot of times, as weird as that is. Yeah, I don't know, format of the game is cool, but
yeah,
I think also like to kind of go with what said, like the blending in stuff. I thought it was always like really cool when you're like in a crowd and you're like like reaching out and like touching people and stuff,
touching
like that,
everybody around you.
Yeah, touching everybody around you. I thought that was just like it makes no sense, like obviously in like a real world context.
A nice little detail,
but it was. Yeah, it was like a cool detail that they added in there that was like, oh, I'm sneaky now. And then you're like in a crowd and stuff like that. So that was like a really cool thing that I think that like other Assassin's Creed games later kind of shoo away. Like I'm playing Origins right now and you don't really do that. You kind of just bump into people and push them away and stuff like that. So I think like that kind of stuff, like the really like blending into crowds and stuff like that, I thought that was really cool and something that was cool that was introduced in the first one.
Yeah, except when they did it in Charter 3 where you're just touching everything and you can't stop touching walls and people and you're spacing out. Okay, this is not Uncharted, sorry.
But yeah, and I also like will never get tired of assassinating a priority target and then talk to them in the White Room. Like that shit is like what that's like one of the big reasons why I love Assassin's Creed. It's just those conversations that like progress the story and the characters and the storytelling and everything like that. Like obviously it's like better used and executed in future titles, but like I think that's like a very big part of this franchise's identity, and like I will never get tired of killing a priority target and then having those scenes happen. So yeah, Assassin's Creed, solid game.
Put this, I think we should we said like mid to low tier.
I think that's kind of where we're all at initially.
Yeah. Like I let's put it at like the 8th spot.
I don't think we're gonna put it at a spot yet.
We're not gonna put it in a spot yet. Okay,
we're just gonna have it at our number 1 spot, and we'll sort it out.
On the screen right now, it says number 1 only because it's the last thing we talked about. But I'm gonna add another one in the next one.
Okay.
And then we can flip them wherever you want to.
I got you.
That came out was Assassin's Creed 2, and boy, what a fucking game! So good. That game is so good. To this day, it's like it would definitely be in my top 50 favorite games of all time, for sure. And it's not even my favorite Assassin's Creed game.
It's pretty good. I forget a lot of it. It's hard because a lot of these games that we're talking about, especially the first, I guess, 5 games, I get everything pre-Black Flag is like a blur to me, and I don't know why. I think it's just because they all came out so, and that's not a negative thing. It's just because it's been a decade, I guess, for a lot of these, or close to it. 2 I remember well, though. 2 I remember thinking it was just going to be a half step up, and it really felt like way more than that once I actually started playing it. I remember like going to school the day after it came out, and I was like, this game's extremely good, and I'm loving this. And yeah, there's a lot of really cool things in that game. I like a lot of the a lot of like the weapon upgrade systems and the customization that they add to your character and stuff like that carrying over from 1 to 2, because one was really a binary experience, especially when it came down to like the weapons you could use and stuff like that. They weren't bad, but there was like no flair to any of it really. 2 kind of add a lot of those things that I really enjoyed, and then yeah, I mean, just further kind of evolved on everything that came before it. The time period was way more interesting. I think that's one thing once we actually start getting into ordering these, like the time period is a big thing for me with a lot of these. And that's something that's intrinsically, I'm very much biased about, I think.
Yeah.
Cause it's kind of hard for me to rank these personally without separating myself from like, I really like Greek mythology. So I'm like gonna, of course, like Odyssey a little bit more than maybe some others. I don't know. But yeah, like Renaissance Italy was a way more interesting time period, I think, than compared to, what was the other one? Crusades type stuff.
Yeah.
Crusades
first one?
with the first one.
Yeah, and yeah, I think this game has a great opening with like Ezio and his brother like running across the rooftops and everything like that, and then just 2 hours later you witness both your brothers and your father being hung and killed, and like it just gets heavy quick, and just Ezio is still just like such a well regarded character. Like he's still so good, so charming. Like just the amount of stuff that you're able to do in that game, like the tombs to get Altair's armor, the assassin's tombs. Oh my gosh, like some of my favorite.
Before it became stuff you could just buy at the like the Uplay store.
It's like some of my favorite side content in a video game is just going through all the assassin tombs to get the like tablet thingies to put into the tombs to unlock the armor, and then the armor's black, of course, because you're wearing white, like so it has to be black.
It's got to be sort of different.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the pain to like upgrade, like to repair your armor and things like that, and
the
how
fact
you actually like advance as an assassin as Ezio, where like at first you can't like reach those high places, and then there's a point this like woman like teaches you how to do that, and then you can reach these high places. And seeing like Ezio evolve actually as an assassin, like both skill wise and like emotionally and characteristically, so good. And as well as being able to upgrade the like what is it called, the Vista? It's like a Vista, right? It's like this small like village of swords.
Yeah. Is it the villa or the villa?
I think it is the villa, where basically it's your home, and then your family lives in it with you.
It was awesome. Like it was awesome, and
the remaining family.
Sounds like they're doing stuff like that with Valhalla too, which is actually really cool. Like everybody started freaking out about like, oh, they're letting you do like town customization in Valhalla. I'm like, well, this is like kind of been here before, so it's cool that it's coming back, sort of.
And then they expand on that much more in Brotherhood as well.
Hey, we're not talking
down
about
the
that.
line too. So yeah, Assassin's Creed 2 is and then just like the end of that game where you go to some cathedral, right?
You kill the Pope in the first one, right?
Yeah, the final boss is a Templar who is the Pope.
Yeah.
and then like I think it's like Jupiter or Juno or something like comes out and just like calls Ezio Desmond, and he's like, Desmond, who is Desmond? It's like that was like one of the best endings to a video game for me.
It was the first major MFs like to the mind, where just like, oh cool, now everything's tying together. And
exactly like that.
Yeah.
So, was that the one where and this is the slippery slope of the Assassin's Creed games, at least those original ones, because they don't, in my opinion, they don't follow up on a lot of that stuff that I think sets up so well in the second one, unfortunately. Because at the time, I remember like I was all in on this second one because of that ending, and then this is also the one where it starts doing like the Adam and Eve like movie thing that you're.
That's the other side quest thing. When you're not just doing collecting flowers, you're collecting like audio pieces, if I'm not mistaken, and then when you collect all of them all in one complete sequence, which is connected to the other subject. If I'm not mistaken, the guy that ends up being the antagonist a little bit later in the series. But you see this like weird video of like two naked people like running in a field, and there's aliens, and you're like, what the hell's going on? That was definitely.
I'm writing an editorial right now about like how Assassin's Creed isn't the franchise that it once was, and like this is the shit that like I miss. Like
this was the sci-fi shit that I did miss from the series.
It's a shame. It's just a fucking shame that these things like just don't come to fruition.
Well, it's because they screwed it up in the later ones, I think.
I mean, they kind of finished it, but still in a way that doesn't make sense. You know?
So again, like this is kind of something I wrote about in the editorial that I wrote, but like Nolan North had said that like when they originally pitched Assassin's Creed to him, it was very different from what we actually ended up getting. And I think, and from what he made it sound like, he doesn't, he wasn't know for sure, but the rumors are like that the creative director of Assassin's Creed of like the first 3 games left because Ubisoft and him had creative differences.
Is it Patrice something or another? Is that who it is?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And
French name?
Yeah, Canadian. He's Canadian.
French Canadian.
French Canadian.
Yeah, and he left supposedly because of creative differences with Ubisoft. So then once he left, like, we'll go later on, but like Desmond dies later and things like that probably wouldn't have happened if he was still a part of the franchise and things like that. But that we can talk about that stuff later as we move along. But yeah, Assassin's Creed 2 is great. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Yeah, let me get my talk in, because this is where Assassin's Creed went from being a terrible series to being like, hell yeah, I'm flying in a glider, I'm hanging out with Leonardo da Vinci, making stuff for me. This thing is awesome. Adam Sessler's talking this up on XPlay. I gotta play this, And then I ended up playing it, and it to me it's very much. I'm a big fan of movies, and I'm a big fan of it, feelings and impressions, and having the story of Ezio. I am saying his name right this time, right, Mike?
Yes, you are. You're saying his name right.
I said Enzo Mamori during.
Yeah, you said Enzo, and I'm like, that's an Italian name.
But it's Italian. I'm close, But you see his fight when obviously they take out his family. 100%. The real one. Anyways, they kill his family. He goes for revenge. He cuts his finger. Like, all that stuff is so iconic. And what is this? The bridge to the rest of the series. And then to me, the character of Enzo was so much more entertaining than Altair, including Desmond. And I think there were two. There were 2 different people, right? The voice actors this time.
Yeah.
It wasn't Nolan North doing both, because Nolan North was doing both in the first
Oh, did he do Altair?
Yeah, because it's not. He doesn't have an accent. He's just Desmond in the first one, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think that's true.
I think that is true, because then when you get to Revelations, he's a different person.
I don't know the answer to that, but I do know the answer to what you're saying originally. Yeah, Ezio was voiced by Roger Craig Smith, also the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Very nice, very nice. 100%.
I thought the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog was Ben Schwartz.
That's the
according
movie. But like,
according to this quick quick Google search, this
time,
did not.
He was also the voice of Sonic.
Who vaulted Altair in the first game?
I have no idea.
A man named Philip Shabazz.
Seriously, the first one?
So yeah, no, I don't think it was Nolan North.
What? All right, well, anyway.
I'm gonna put in my.
He was generic and boring, and
I'm gonna put in my 2 cents.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna put in my 2 cents about Ezio and Assassin's Creed 2, and really all the Ezio stuff. I'm gonna tell you right now.
By the way, if you hear bells on my thing, is because the churches at the top of the hour or go crazy here.
I don't hear.
Good.
You're good.
I hear them, and it's annoying me.
This is the blank part of my Assassin's Creed stuff, which is weird because I know this is like the fan favorite stuff. Like, this is the stuff that people will say this is the best. Ezio's the best protagonist and all of the. I did buy yesterday, so there's a sale on Xbox.
It just sucks because that certainly isn't great.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they fixed any of it or not. I thought they said that they fixed something, but I don't know. It was $11. It was cheap. It's 3 video games, right? Yeah. But so at one point I will play it. The thing I will say though about like Ezio and like my like knowledge of it is that like I feel like until recently maybe, and even still, like Ezio is definitely the face of Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like whenever anybody, if you talk to anybody, like they're more often than not like they're Ezio. Like that. Yeah. It's like there's no one else.
I mean, Ezio ended up in
even if I've never played it. Yeah. Even if I've never played it, I know like how much people love Assassin's Creed 2 in particular. I'm not really sure about Brotherhood and Revelations, but Assassin's Creed 2 for sure. Like I know people love the game, and like it's just something that just slipped and I never played.
Yeah.
But it's like I guess it would probably be like near top probably for this list for sure.
In my
just
opinion,
just like it's like one of the biggest and like most beloved of all of them.
in my opinion, Assassin's Creed 2 is the second best Assassin's Creed game across the entire series. And the reason why that is because it still has the things that made me like. The best way I can explain my feelings with the Assassin's Creed series is kind of like similar to like Pokemon for me. Like I like
Gen 1 is always your
Creed,
favorite.
Not Assassin's Creed isn't the franchise that I fell in love with back then, but it has gained that much of my love and respect that regardless of that, I will always buy the next Assassin's Creed game. Same thing with Pokemon. Like Pokemon was such a big part of my childhood. Like even though Pokemon hasn't been the same since Hoenn for me, I will always buy the new Pokemon game when it comes out. So like but Assassin's Creed 2 definitely like established that for me. And then so yeah, for me I think is the second best in the franchise personally. It's definitely top tier at the very least. And I think most of us will agree on that at the very least. So that's how I feel about it. But yeah, Ezio is awesome. He like if there was like I could say like if there's like a top 50 like video game characters list, he would definitely be on it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I mean, he kind of like made the wise guy like wisecracking thing like popular in video games, right? Like that's
I love your video froze.
Your video froze on a picture of you drinking.
Great.
Really?
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's wonderful.
Anyway, yeah, so
going.
we all agree Assassin's Creed 2 above Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Cool. All right.
I'll also say that this is probably also out during a time where like the whole Ubisoft like only makes like you just go up towers and it's just a bunch of question marks over a whole map. Like that was before like there was criticisms about that. So like having like I would assume again I haven't played like seeing like all that stuff at that time would have been like insane and like super crazy, especially like that came out in like 2009, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So
2000. Yeah, I think 2009.
It was 9.
2010.
Because then everything else it went annualized after that. Yeah.
So like seeing like this whole map full of things to do, like that would have been such like a crazy thing at that time. Would have been pretty insane. So
yeah. Assassin's Creed 2. All right, so next up is Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and I'm going to start on this one because this one, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, is my favorite Assassin's Creed game. I think it is the best Assassin's Creed game. I think that it does everything that Assassin's Creed 2 does, but better. I love Rome. I love how basically instead of upgrading this villa to its former glory of sorts in 2, it's literally all of Rome. It's just, hey, fix Rome. And it's just like, okay, that's cool. And you really get to see Ezio become like the responsible adult that he needs to be and like get into this leadership position that he needs to be in to lead the assassins. And like I still like perfectly remember watching the scene where like his sister gets initiated to the Brotherhood and like being able to call in people, you know, you just do like the sign.
That was my favorite thing about the new edition was the fact that you once you level it up to the highest peak, you're just like, all right, you see that guy, 12 dudes come from the roof and just attack him. Like that was like one of the coolest things that they added to the series. And yes, the fact that you had Rome and stuff like that, like that to me was like, okay, cool, we're taking what is already awesome and we're expanding upon it.
And first, and just like small things, I think Ezio's assassin outfit in Brotherhood is specifically the coolest outfit of any assassin. Like super cool. I like the man, what a what a fucking game!
All three, I will say
the...
they're gonna get lost in the shuffle out of everything, but at the very least, Brotherhood and Revelations and 2 to me are in my mind are like a great complete package, even if they falter on this list.
Absolutely. And like the part with with Da Vinci, it's like that. The one thing that I didn't like about that was disappointing about Brotherhood is that Da Vinci doesn't have a as big of a role.
Yes.
In this one compared to 2.
Yeah.
But like it's cool because you got the crossbow in this one, and then like later you get the fucking gun. You get the one-shot gun that you have to reload, and like it's super slow, but it's fucking cool because you have a gun in Rome during the Renaissance. It's like that's awesome. Man, I love this game. It's like probably in my top 15 favorite games of all time.
Okay, hold on. You already said that Assassin's Creed is in your top 50. That's already in top 15.
Yes.
Assassin's Creed 2.
How many Assassin's Creeds are in that list?
But like Brotherhood is probably in my top 15, top 20.
Interesting. Okay.
Like I love Brotherhood. I think it is a culmination of what that franchise represents, or like what it did represent, and the reason why I truly love the franchise. That like even though it's not what I want it to be now, it was that, and it's just I don't know. It was just like a near perfect Assassin's Creed experience for me. Again, like the only thing really that kind of disappointed me was the lack of Da Vinci, but I mean that's fine. And then also the ending of that game was insane. Like they somehow for me they topped the Assassin's Creed 2 ending by like Desmond killing Lucy out of nowhere.
That to me was one of the most shocking things because at the time I was a huge Veronica Mars fan. And I was very much into Christian Bale, and the fact that she was in the game, and I was like, "It's Christian Bale's in this game," and she looked like at the time Christian Bale, and then of course you just murk her at the end of the game, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" And then you're like in this because you're the one that does it in complete shock, and you don't know why you did it or what's going on. It's not until the next game you're like, maybe you should have, maybe you shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, and also it was cool because you go to the Colosseum, you go to the Roman Colosseum in modern day time. For this moment,
and those were those little teases where it's like, oh, we're gonna get a modern day version of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it basically, I think this was the game that gave a lot of people the idea, which was supposed to be the original idea that I kind of talked about earlier, that Nolan North was told, where it was going to set Desmond up for like a modern day Assassin's Creed, where he is the
Watch
assassin
Dogs
and things like that. And it didn't happen. Like that's what I originally expected Assassin's Creed 3 to be. Was okay, we're Desmond now. We're like in New York City or some shit, and we're now a full-on assassin in modern day time. Which I'm sad that we never got that. So Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Yeah. Do you guys have any relevance to Brotherhood? I know we kind of talked more on that one.
So it's weird because Brotherhood and Revelations are the two I forget the most, and I don't know why that is really. I don't know if I just played them like really quickly and like nothing stood out about them. I mean, again, like building out the Brotherhood in Brotherhood is like the coolest thing to me, and that's the one thing that stands out. I forget a lot of the main story beats in that game though, other than killing what's her face at the end of the game there. And then the one thing I do remember feeling about Brotherhood, though, is that comparative to 2, I both liked and disliked the fact that you're in one city the whole game. Yeah. I like it in one sense that you feel like you are building it out the whole game, and it is your home for that game. And so you really get intimately familiar with it, and you have a lot of customization with the city, but it also gets that much more tiresome to look at the same time over the course of the game, whereas I felt like 2's environments did mix up a little bit more because there's different areas that you go to. So there's like pluses and minuses that I like about being in that same setting throughout the whole game. Other than that, though, honestly, there's not a lot I remember in that one. Is that the one with the wolf dudes or something? There's like a side tangent with that, I remember.
Yeah,
is that Brotherhood?
There's like these people that wear like wolf skins or like animal skins, and that's like the assassin tombs for that game. You go to like these tombs, and then you get like their like ultimate armor of sorts.
I do remember that.
I will say really quick, that your thing about the numerous areas compared to one big city argument is completely valid. I'm kind of like on the opposite end because I remember like playing Assassin's Creed 2 where you're doing some side stuff and then you forget, oh, I gotta go to this other area now, which is like just feels like such a chore because you have to like leave the city and load a new map and things like that.
Yeah, that's definitely not ideal. I don't like that necessarily either.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things like it's kind of like I don't think really either side of the argument is really wrong on that end. It's just kind of personal preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's totally valid.
Yeah. And Mike, did you have anything?
No, I have absolutely not. I've never even. I remember when these games came out, but I did not play them. Honestly, this was around a time I've talked about this with I think I've talked about this with you, Mario, and also Logan. But like, I wasn't playing video games a lot during this time.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I
strike you from
you
the
were on
vote.
the Hugh Jackman Wolverine diet.
I was on a very strict diet and workout plan, being sad. So
just freaking drinking beer and skateboarding.
No drinking beer.
Oh,
no beer.
Just playing ska music and skateboarding.
No yeah, sure. Only Superman and skateboarding.
There you go. There you go. Okay.
So where would we tentatively put this one? I would say beneath 2, personally.
I would say above 2.
I think for right now, like, I think we should just kind of place them where we should kind of generally.
Yeah, we'll reorder them.
Like really, like we'll reorder them. But I think like 2 Brotherhood.
I would definitely say it's top tier. I would definitely say it's top tier.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I don't know how Mario's doing them on his end though.
Basically, I just have the numbers right now as we've talked about them, and then if we're gonna generally talk, I can just switch the numbers out.
Okay, so it's like 1, 2, 3 right now. Okay, so we'll just do 2 brother just for organizing. For organizing. Organizing. I guess just two Brotherhood 1 with the knowing that Brotherhood's in top tier with 2.
Yeah.
Sure.
100%. Revelations.
Yeah. So Assassin's Creed Revelations is the final game with Ezio, where he goes to Constantinople to find more information about Altair and the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. So, and this is the one where you got like the hook to use down the rope, things like that. Much older Ezio. Yeah, so
I don't remember like anything about this game. That is my knee-jerk reaction. The thing I remember the most is, isn't this the one where Desmond starts like actually training, and you have like weird virtual training courses where you're like climbing up or like the whole game is like, because you kill Lucy at the end of Brotherhood, right? And then it really doesn't follow up on that directly in this game, and like the whole game he's in like the weird like Animus in between world, and when you come out of the Animus is the Ezio sequences, you're not actually back in the real world, you're in some weird like
it's kind of like that.
That's what happens when your creative director leaves.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens. I mean, the biggest part to me is this connects back to Altair and makes him less of a shitty character. Especially what he ends up doing at the very end with Altair.
I felt like when they were still trying to keep it. It felt like they were still trying to keep it all pretty like in line with itself. Like the later series, like from Black Flag on, it's basically just like, oh, what's a cool location we can do one of these games in? And it basically just became like a jet setting franchise where it's like, oh, we'll go to different time periods around the globe and stuff, which is cool. And I love that. But there's something to be said about them trying to make some sort of continuity in these early games from Altair to Ezio. And so that's cool that they try to do that in Revelations.
So Revelations, I think in general, like for the sense of the franchise, is like a solid entry. I would definitely consider it mid tier, like upper mid tier, probably. The thing that it was great, like learning more about Altair, because we didn't like he was a very very like blank character in the first game. We didn't really know much about him or anything like that. So it was cool that kind of went full circle. Ezio was, I mean, it was because he was older, but he didn't have the charisma or or charm that he had in the first 2 games.
Speaking of charisma, which is the game? It's Brotherhood, right? Where the game starts out and he's in bed with some chick, and then a bunch of cannonballs blow into it. That's
wait. Was that one? Or was that 2 or Revelations?
No, that's Brotherhood. Because in Brotherhood,
they destroyed the house.
Destroyed.
They destroyed
and
the
then
house.
gotta go to Rome.
You're in the villa, and then the Pope, the bad guy from the second game, his son is the main bad guy in Brotherhood.
The Pope has a son? I didn't know that.
He comes in with his army, and he's with Uncle Mario, who helps.
I remember this
in the second game.
I remember
and
Uncle Mario. Very vividly.
You are Uncle Mario.
Thank you.
So, yeah, and then you just have to like escape. You're like right after you're sleeping with this girl,
That's right.
some random girl. Anyway,
this game's awesome. It's not. You just convinced me it's higher than Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah, exactly. So Revelations, it's weird because like you're with this random. You meet this girl. I forgot. This is the one out of the Desmond era of games that I remember like probably the least. But you're with some like girl, and she's way younger than you, but then they still try and make it seem like there's some sort of like sexual tension between the two of them, and I'm like, don't do that. And but it's, you know, it's a fun game. They give you a little bit more customization on like how, like you know, how Ezio looks with his robes and things like that. It's a solid entry. The thing that I really liked about it the most was the things that you were talking about before, Logan, where there are these chapters where you play, it's first person and you're doing these like puzzles, and it gives you some more exposition regarding Desmond and what he did before he was captured by Abstergo and things like that, and how he like lived in New York and all that jazz. It was good, like, because Desmond kind of got to that point where it's just like, okay, we still don't really know much about you except for that you're supposed to learn how to become an assassin, all this stuff. But then they actually gave us a lot of information about him and made his character grow more,
because they talk a lot more about his father, right?
Yeah, he definitely did not have a good relationship with his father.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what I probably got the most out of that game. Honestly, like it was nice that we learned more about Altair and the Brotherhood and all that stuff when the story of Assassin's Creed actually mattered. But it also was kind of a low note for Ezio's like,
it's
goodbye, you know,
it's the goodbye. It's the old Western of like, you know, it's the Logan, right? This is his last final years, and he's getting to the end of his rope, and then summing with this basically continuing and ending the plot of the apple being where it needs to be for 3 for the most part. And then basically ending the story of Altair, which to me is still one of my favorite moments in video games, is actually having that character sit in that chair and just die, right? He if I'm not mistaken, he just sits there and is a protector in that area with, I think he has the apple in his hand or something. And then that's the end of his character. That's how that person goes. And that wasn't what I was expecting to get out of the game, especially when it was about Ezio. Now that's gonna mess me up. Ezio.
Enzo Amore.
Did you ever watch the video that came out after this game? There was the short film.
No.
About the end of the end of Auditory. Ezio.
I don't think so. The video like where
he's training the girl and then he dies literally like in the field.
Yes,
it's awesome. It's actually really sweet. You actually see the end of his story, and then the girl is the character that grows up to be the Assassin's Creed China video game, the side scroll. If I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty positive on that. Don't fat check me. Let me know in the comments.
Goes from hanging out with Ezio in Italy to Assassin's Creed China. Dang.
Oh my god.
Wild times.
Yeah. Chronicles, you know. Anyway, no, but yeah. So Revelations, cool. Do we agree like around mid tier right now? Just for now.
Or above AC1, below the other.
AC1, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm putting that in right now.
All right, and then next up is Assassin's Creed 3.
So I actually played this last week.
It's bad.
I played the beginning of this game last week. It does not hold up.
No.
Why does everything mechanics-wise feel worse in this game? That is my biggest question. Why does it feel worse to play?
Besides that, it's like the opening is
trees.
You don't even play as like the guy. You play as Hatham Kenway.
Yeah.
And it's like, why am I this guy? Why am I not the cool?
I like that. I like that opening
part of the game.
Yeah, why am I not the cool guy? I want to be the cool guy.
No.
Turns out that guy is cooler than
devoid of any
Connor.
personality.
So, like, when you're playing in the game and you're playing as Hatham, I was just like, okay, who is this guy? Like, I know I'm supposed to be playing as Connor, but then when you find out that you're playing as a fucking Templar the whole time, that was one of the biggest plot twists I've experienced in video games. I was just like, this is crazy.
That's really good.
That was really cool. That was a cold open.
It goes on a little too long.
It's like
but
5
it's
hours long.
It's
like 5 hours long. It's kind of ridiculous.
Too long. I will agree with that. Because you don't get because Ubisoft is just bad about opening the opening title.
Yes.
This is the beginning where they're just like, hey, we're not going to tell you the name of the game until like 15 hours into the game.
Odyssey's the same way. I remember this just because it's recent, but Odyssey's title doesn't show up until you leave the island. It's for the first 4 hours of the game.
It's every game from 3 on is literally just like, we're just going to play for a while, and then it says Assassin's Creed. They ended up doing that, I think, later in the series
too. It's silly.
But
I think a lot of the disappointment for this one, I think, is that it was like, oh, we're gonna be in like in America and stuff like that, and that's something that personally that we know. So it's like,
no, I'm gonna take back.
Yeah, I was there when we threw the tea in the river.
I think it's more that I think it's more that, like, for me, like I like that time period. Like, I like the history behind that. Like,
that's
period.
what excited about me.
And that's what I mean. Like that. It's like I personally know that time period more than
we're taught that stuff in school from the time we're very young.
Like Renaissance Italy or the Crusades. Like I know like revolutionary,
but not a lot about.
We all know that George Washington's a secret asshole.
Yeah, exactly. So it comes down to like, oh, we're gonna play this like seemingly cool character. There's Alex Ross art for it. That's rad.
I remember that, baby.
Let's go. Let's do this. And then you play it, and it kind of just like sucks. Like the one thing that was like cool that came out of it. This is the first one that did the
tree assassination
stuff, right?
What?
This did the boat stuff first, right?
Yes,
No.
this teased the boat
Or
stuff.
wait.
Yeah.
Very
like
little
it
boat stuff. Yes.
And like that was like the one thing that I feel like a lot of people took away. It's like, oh, the boat combat actually kind of good, which is bad for an Assassin's Creed game. Where you're like, the boat was great.
Wait in a few minutes, baby. We're gonna talk about.
One of the things that like I like about Assassin's Creed 3, and I want to say like, if Unity wasn't a broken mess at launch when I played it,
freaking Unity,
Assassin's Creed 3 would be on the bottom of my list. Like. Easy.
I will say also, Unity gets a lot of shit. I think I didn't have problems with Unity.
We'll talk about Unity in a second.
We're getting there.
But yeah.
So, like, with Assassin's Creed 3, so here are the things that I liked about it. I liked the tomahawk stuff. That was cool.
Yeah.
I liked the this was the first one where because you didn't really have the options before, but the tree assassinations where we had the rope and you jump down and you'd hang them.
That was cool. That was pretty cool.
First time I did that, I popped off. I was like, that was really cool.
I think this is also one of the ones that had more like contextual, like you're like running and then like you could hop over like quote unquote realistically like over stuff, and it like looked more real, I guess. And I think that was like another thing that was like one of
the animation work was definitely better, but yeah, that was offset by the fact that you went from feeling like you were playing as like a slim, nimble, like jaguar running around these rooftops to like now you're like you feel like a bear in this game. You do not feel good to control in this game.
Yeah. When Predator Hunting Grounds has better freaking tree climbing, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
hold on. Predator Hunting Grounds is also a game that's made in 2020.
Just saying.
Also the game of the generation.
100%. I will see you at Game of the Year, sir.
The things that just really just, oh man, oof on this game. First off, like you gave us for 3 games one of the most charismatic video game characters in history.
Yes.
Then you give us someone who has the most stale personality that I've ever experienced in any living or fictional.
And we're not even talking about Desmond.
I was gonna say, don't worry, they'll fall back on Desmond as the main character in this game. Not really.
Connor was like the Anakin of
yes.
It's just like, what? Like, we don't like. There's no reason to like him. Like, even when his mom died and stuff like that, I was just like, well, first he's still a little kid, but even then it's just like, I have no reason. Like, I don't care. I don't care.
They need to make another game that isn't contemporary of that guy's lifetime, and they need to make him cool again because he sucks and he will forever suck.
He's such a boring character, and he would always just ignore advice. Like, this dude's like not knowing that like he's not a great person. I forgot the black dude's name, the black assassin's name, who got injured. What's his name?
I don't remember anything about this game.
I immediately was going to say the one from 4, and I'm like, that's not the person.
Dude, his name's on the tip of my tongue. I just don't remember it.
You'll think about it.
But he, he's like telling you like, oh, you should do this and this and this. Even though he's kind of an asshole about it, but he's like kind of right. And then Connor's just like, no, fuck you. And it's just like,
okay.
I don't know. Like, I
don't feel like the thing I'll say about this game too that annoyed me in the moment, and again, maybe this is just me forgetting a lot of it, but I don't feel like they made great use of the era, because again, we're in like the Revolutionary War, where it's like we're expecting it to be like this really cool setting for this game to take place in, and it is just like, this isn't fun. I'm just running around some woods and stuff in this game.
I think that is the most disappointing part about this game, is that I think the time period was such like a cool, like it was a lot different than the other two, and so it was.
Yeah, it's true to how it is. Like, even the cities and stuff like that aren't like densely populated like the other games are, but like that makes sense because the other cities you go to in the other games would have been much more densely populated in that time. So it's a little bit easier to like, oh, I'm gonna sneak in with the crowd and stuff like that here.
Yeah.
So those things being the way that they are in Assassin's Creed 3 are understandable, but it doesn't. It's just the game. If the game is not fun, why bother? As Reggie Fils-Aimé would say. And I just don't think it was a slog to roll credits on this one for me.
Yeah. And then of course the end of the game is just terrible. Just terrible.
Yeah. I still don't understand what happened to this day.
So you basically go to this cave that apparently is where you're supposed to do something. I don't even remember at this point because I'm so mad about
something about an apple. I'm sure.
Don't talk about Mass Effect 3's ending. No, dog. This ending is garbage. And like, so you basically go to this.
Fuck it. I'm gonna cut you right there. This is what happens. You talk to a glowy lady, and she's like, "I'm gonna blow up the planet, or you die. One or the other."
Yeah, basically.
It.
Oh, the world's gonna end unless you like allow me to save it, and you have to touch this thing that basically sacrifices Desmond.
Yeah, it kills him, but releases her, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. And then like you don't see the outcome of that at all.
Ever.
And like I think GT's like, if you don't do it, like the world's gonna end. Not the world's gonna end, but like, the apocalypse is basically going to happen. Only a few people are going to live. It's just basically resetting life of sorts. But then some people are going to live, and you'll become
you'll become a Mass Effect 3.
First game, Assassin's Creed 3.
You're right, Cam.
It's terrible. Like, I hate it. I was so mad when I finished that game. I was
at the beginning of the conversation.
I just remember but this one is at the bottom for me right now, based on what we have so far.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just bad. We can move on.
I want to get out of this era.
I got the remaster because I got the Odyssey Season Pass, so I got the remaster with that and Liberation, and I'm gonna replay it. I'm gonna replay it and see how I feel about it now because I haven't played it in like 10 years. But yeah, right now, man, what a disappointment.
Yeah. So the ranking that I have right now, just on the list, is Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Revelations, Assassin's Creed 3. From the current talk, I actually would not.
No.
Go ahead.
I think Revelations is above AC1.
Revelations is above Assassin's Creed.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, fine. And then I was going to say, go ahead.
Like right now, we're kind of just we haven't really ranked anything. We're just kind of putting things in tiers. So like right now, we have 2 in Brotherhood in like high tier, Revelations in mid tier, Creed and 3 in like lower tier.
Yeah, I don't know what Mario's showing on his end with the video.
It's literally just a list of the games in the order so far that we've talked, so I can move them around. And so right now,
so we haven't done any rankings. We're just kind of putting them in tiers.
Kind of talking over all of them. Yeah.
This is a changing list.
So
is Liberation next?
Yeah, it is.
So so the next game that we're talking about, which I don't know if anyone has played, even I haven't played it, but I'm going to.
Rogue, right?
No, this is Liberation. I was gonna say, I mean, to just get this out there now, has anybody even played this to where we can talk about anything with it?
I can talk about it just for those that don't know what it is.
Sure.
But basically, it originally came out on the Vita. It was a Vita exclusive, but it's technically still mainline. And it's the first one where you play as a female assassin. And it's also
where they got the hitboxes.
It also takes place during the American Revolutionary War time. That's basically the gist of it. It's on modern day consoles now. It was like remastered. It was on 360.
It's part of the Assassin's Creed 3 remaster.
Yeah, it's a part of the Assassin's Creed 3 remaster, or the Odyssey Season Pass if you have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't played it. I've heard it's fine. Like I haven't heard that like it's particularly bad or good or anything specific. Just heard like it's good. It's fine.
This is the one part of the one where when we rank them, come the end, we'll have a hard time doing it just because our 4-person panel here does not have Assassin's Creed Liberation expertise.
I've heard it's good. I've heard it's decent.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, like it's using the same mechanics as 3, and I know that's one of the big things that we didn't like. So I would say that we'd probably put it under 3. It only makes sense just because it's in the same era of time like that it came out and things like that. So just for now, put it under 3, just because no one's played it. Sorry if someone is like a huge Assassin's Creed Liberation fan.
Assassin's Creed Liberation stands on the internet are coming for us.
It is the only mainline Assassin's Creed I haven't played yet. I own it now. I'm going to play it soon, but I just haven't yet. So, so next up after that is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag.
This game rules because it's not Assassin's Creed.
This game is awesome.
This is just the pirate game I wanted somebody to make for a very long time, and then it was just an Assassin's Creed game, I guess.
Ever since Curse of the Black Pearl, I was like, I need a pirate game. I need to stab people.
Why are there no good pirate games?
There's none. Sid Meier's pirate game. Who's going to play that garbage?
Sea of Thieves, great video game.
No, apparently Sea of Thieves now is fucking popping.
I'm sure it is. We should do a let's play. I totally would want to do a let's play of Sea of Thieves.
So Assassin's Creed 4, you play as Edward Kenway, who is Connor's great grandfather, Haytham Kenway, right? Kenway?
Yeah.
Kenway's
So the son
father,
becomes a dick.
and basically he's a pirate. He ends up just kind of coming across an Assassin's Brotherhood like initiation of sorts.
Yes.
And, like, steals robes and then just keeps them, but then he actually like decides to join the Brotherhood at the end, which fun fact for those who don't know how Edward dies, because I do, because I'm weird like that and I look those things up. He like had like a manor or something, and
do you just get a manor if you're an assassin? Because everyone seems to get one.
Yes.
I don't know. He had a manor
in the rule book,
and his some Templars infiltrated the manor and killed him in his sleep or something like that.
Boo.
Yep.
I want the pretty fields. Should have died on a boat.
Because then the Templars took Haytham, and that's how he became a Templar. Because he killed Edward. And
that makes sense.
So so that's how Edward dies. Anyway, this is
I'm sad.
This is a great game. I don't like for Assassin's Creed, like
it's totally It's totally separated from a lot of mainline Assassin's Creed stuff.
Yeah.
Because they had to follow. It's weird
this
because
is the first person one, right?
Yeah, they had to follow up on the modern day stuff somehow. Yes. Like they were still trying to forcefully inject like, oh, well, we got to do this in some sort of interesting way. But like, you could tell they totally didn't really know what to do post 3.
So annoying.
So they're just like, okay, we'll do this weird thing about an Abstergo employee.
Sure, Abstergo Games plus Ubisoft.
A random Abstergo employee who's just working to get information. Because another fun fact, basically Abstergo found Desmond's body after he died.
Yeah.
And took out his brain, and that's how they have access to all of his ancestry after that point. Fun fact.
We never talked about subject 17, by the way. Fuck that guy. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, we don't need to talk about that. Anyway, so yeah, really cool, awesome open world. The ship mechanics were just 3s, but more refined, like and better because you had actual, like, you had the cannons and shit.
Sea shanties, by the way.
It was a next gen video game.
Yeah, no, this is a really great game. Like, I understand why when people say that it's their favorite Assassin's Creed game. Like, again, it's not very Assassin's Creedy, but like for the sake of gameplay, it is like amazing. Really good stuff. Definitely higher tier Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it just does the Ubisoft thing really well in this game too, where it's like, oh, well, there's like all these like little one-off things I guess I get to go do. I'm gonna go throw spears at a shark in the ocean. Like, there's like all these one-off dumb little things you can just get really lost into. And I'm gonna travel around the high seas and fight all these boss pirate ships that are out there. Like, those are the things that I'll be honest, I don't remember a lot of the mainline story beats of this game at all. I just remember upgrading my pirate ship, driving around the seas, and being like, I want to fight this level 50 pirate ship that's over here. Those are the things I really loved, and it's an extremely simple loop in some respects, but it is intensely satisfying. And yeah, man, I don't know. I've been hungry for a pirate game for so long, and then this came along and
honestly,
scratched all those
I would take the combat and gameplay of Black Flag over what we have in Odyssey.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't played Black Flag in so long, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's my thing too. I don't remember how I feel about the actual like sword fight stuff.
Yeah,
it feels good. It feels good. It's just one of those things, like, because I want to play through basically 2 to Liberation on the timeline that we're currently going on. I want to replay through all of those because all of them have been remastered at this point since the last time I played it. But 4, I'm like, I don't need to replay this game, but I really want to.
It's really good.
Yep.
So, yeah. So yeah, I would definitely put it in higher tier. I would still, so just like under Brotherhood for now, because that's still like higher tier area.
I think we're all pretty positive on it. This is the game that kind of got me back into Assassin's Creed, because like before this, I really only played 3 and 1. So I didn't have like a great thing with it. And then like this was like, oh, next gen games are coming. This was out at launch, so it was like, oh, okay, I'll play this open world game that's out at launch, and it was awesome. It's a real, like, even though it is a launch title, I know that usually gets like a lot of like flack or whatever when something's a launch title. We give it a little bit more slack on stuff, but it was like super solid. It's such an awesome game, and it's kind of the game that really actually got me into this series in the first I've played every Assassin's Creed after this. For the most part.
Even as a launch game, I would probably put this like on my like top 25 of this generation for sure.
Yeah,
like
it's such a good game.
Still, like, it's just it's awesome. Great game.
Max Roberts' favorite game.
Favorite game
of all time. No.
His biggest criticism of this game is it's not an Assassin's Creed game. And that's exactly why it's good, though. But that's exactly why it's good.
It's really good. Like, it's one of those things, like, it's kind of like the differences of how I feel about between Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Like, you can, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, it's like, it still has really fun gameplay and it still has that Assassin's Creed vibe to it. But yeah. Assassin's Creed
Rogue.
Black Flag. Next up is Assassin's Creed Rogue, which originally was a
same time
last gen exclusive title. Has anyone else played Rogue?
I have not played Rogue.
So
I've wanted to for a really long time, honestly.
Boys, I get to go off about this game. So
I'm going to limit you to 5 minutes.
Rogue. Huh?
Yeah, I'm going to limit you to 5 minutes. No,
okay.
Go ahead.
Assassin's Creed Rogue is low key one of the best Assassin's Creed games. Like, in my opinion, I like it more than Black Flag, because basically what it is it's a Black Flag and a half, but you have a very good story with it too. Because technically Rogue is a prequel to 3. So you're playing as Shay is his name, who is an assassin, and basically he's doing all this shit for the Creed, and then finds out that they're doing shit behind his back, and so he goes Templar. So it's basically Revenge of the Sith, but Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
And the instead of like doing the Caribbean area, you're doing like the more northern,
like in the Arctic Circle or whatever.
Yeah, Arctic area. But yeah, so like you basically find out how, because you know like how in Assassin's Creed 3, why Achilles, like the black assassin that's that's over Connor, watching over Connor.
Yeah.
Why he's like his legs fucked up and why he can't really walk. You find that out in Rogue. You find out how that happens, and like the real world stuff. You're still an Abstergo employee, but it's much cooler because you basically find out kind of how the Templars function in Abstergo. Like how the higher ups are, what they're doing. Like you get to see how they do the things that they do and how their processes go, and it ends on an extremely big cliffhanger that never gets resolved, and it makes it sad. That's like it has a great cliffhanger, but because Ubisoft didn't know what to do with the Assassin's Creed modern day shit, they don't.
Sounds like a company I know called Ubisoft.
We can't let them do this. If they are able to end the story of Far Cry 5 with New Dawn, they have to be able to tie these stupid loose threads together.
I know, yeah. The only thing that like kind of sucks about it is that the ship upgrades aren't as expansive as the ship in 4, because it's they made it a last gen title and stuff like that. But the story, and like you end up getting like a grenade launcher, like a original type grenade launcher. I don't know, but it's really cool, and it really is, in my opinion, better than Black Flag. Also, it also ties into Unity. You find out that like, so what's the main character's name in
God if I know.
Unity? It starts with an E.
Enzo Amore.
Is it Erno?
Erno.
Yeah,
you're right.
So Erno, you know how like Erno's dad dies?
Yes.
You find out that Shay's the one who did it.
Oh.
Because that's the last thing you do in Assassin's Creed Rogue. It transfers you to France, and you walk past Erno and the one girl from Unity.
Oh yeah, the red hair girl. She's cool.
You assassinate his dad. I'm like, this is so cool. Oh. It sucks that Unity sucked, but this is cool. Like, there's so much cool shit in this game that like I love it. I think it's top 5 at the very least.
All right, so you want me to put it above Revelations and below Black Flag? Does that work? I know you would say above.
For now, yes.
But the rest of us don't have any strong feelings about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Have you played the remaster of this one? Because I've heard mixed things on it, but I've always wanted to check the game out.
I have not. I don't know what the remaster quality is for the game. I haven't heard anything negative per se. The only one I've heard
negative it's fine, I guess,
is the Ezio collection.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anything about Rogue Remastered, but 100% play it, especially if you're looking for another Black Flag type experience. Yes, it's not straight up pirates, but you have a ship, you travel around the waters a lot. It's awesome game.
Yeah, I don't understand why it was such a thing last gen that they like released all these games that were just like stranded on old hardware there in that first year, because like no one wants to return to it. It's like the game came out and I still even probably had my 360 hooked up and I still just was like, I don't want to play this game on an old system. That doesn't sound fun. I mean, it was the same thing with like Dark Souls 2 and Borderlands pre-sequels, another one that year.
You got a complete set though, Logan.
Yeah, Rogue is awesome. If you like Black Flag, you have no reason not to play Rogue.
All right. I put this on my list.
So next up
Unity.
Assassin's Creed Unity.
I've not played this one. I would argue this one is the dead last because it actively ruined Assassin's Creed for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Or 2 at least.
I'm gonna say my piece on this.
Oh no.
I think Assassin's Creed Unity gets a lot of shit. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it being on the bottom. It's just because of my personal experience. Like, I never had the problems that I saw on the internet. Like, I didn't see like the floating eyeballs and lips and stuff.
I didn't either.
So like my experience with it isn't negative. by any means. Like I didn't have a bad time, but from like the ones that I have played, like it's probably I would actually put it above Assassin's Creed 3. But
no way.
For me personally. But like obviously I'm not gonna like argue which one's going to be last between Assassin's Creed 3 and Unity. Like
I mean the reason why I would just, again, I have not played this game, so I don't want to speak too strongly about it, but just speaking from the perspective of the franchise as a whole. The day one bugs thing, well, even if you didn't have those issues, it was indicative of the fact that Ubisoft needed to stop making this an annualized series because it had caught up to them to the point that they couldn't hash out bugs like that in time for launch. And by that time that this came out and was in such dire straits, like this game's entire story was written in the first week that it came out, like it or not. And that was so damaging to the franchise that it even hurt like people's excitement for Syndicate the following year. Like I think Syndicate didn't do super well because the fallout from Unity was so strong. And it was really because Unity was just a mess top to bottom when it launched. Unity and Syndicate eventually forced them to take the year off so that then they could do Origins, which was something they needed for a long time. Unity really, I don't know if they were planning on doing another entry the year after Syndicate. I forget. They may have actually talked about if they pushed it back at some point.
And don't forget, they stopped
Unity
all multiplayer.
Unity actively threw everything off in this franchise badly.
No, and I don't disagree with that. It was just like, if we're talking like personally, like I didn't have a bad time with it. I thought it was a very fine video game, but it was nothing like stand out or anything. I think a lot of the stuff that was coming out from this at the time was like, oh, look at all these, like you see like this giant crowd of like hundreds of people and you can walk through them and touch all of them and all that stuff, like all that like crazy tech stuff. And I think a lot of that kind of like really ended up messing up that game, honestly. Like in a way, I think it was like they took on too much. Like it was too quote unquote ambitious, I guess. But it ended up not being great for them. And like Syndicate, like you said, like it made Syndicate not really do that great, which Syndicate I think is like it actually
I think Syndicate's actually pretty good too.
It's actually pretty solid, and it's an awesome awesome time period too. But
the only thing I could say about Unity is that if it didn't exist, I would never have got my Xbox bundle, which got me an Xbox, and I would have played 4. I mean, that's really it. I mean, that's really it. Also, that dope ass Drake trailer. But other than that, no, this game is very low tier for me.
I mean, I'm like I said, I'm not arguing about that at all. No, definitely low tier.
Like, I don't think any mainline Assassin's Creed game is like worse than like a 7. You know what I mean? Like a 7 out of 10. Like
probably like from what I've
like I played. I would say like Unity like is definitely on the lower end. In like I do think it gets a lot more shit than it probably than I personally think. But yeah, like I would agree with that. Like I don't think any of them are like below us. That well, maybe some of them are, but I don't know.
See, for me, it's not even the bugs. It's just like Erno isn't interesting.
Yeah, very boring. Yeah, nothing crazy.
Like literally the only thing I remember about that game is that the chick dies at the end. That's all I remember.
Spoil it for me. I didn't know the ending of this game.
And like
Marine.
So for me, it was just the amount. I'm just talking about story wise on that point, but like and the amount of unnecessary customization and complicated customization that game has. Like I literally spent like 30 minutes trying to figure out how the full on customization of that game worked because it was so complicated.
On top of the loot boxes, like the helix point stuff and all that, like it was insane.
It just too much unnecessary things.
There was also like wasn't there a multiplayer thing too, where like you do missions together and stuff like that?
It was kind of interesting where you're 4 people and then no matter what, you are Arno, but everyone else looks like somebody else.
It's and like purple Arno. Or
purple. Arno. But at the very least, I'm like, this is a cool concept, and it was and we haven't talked about any of the multiplayer because I don't know what your guys' experiences are with them. As someone who was a Ubisoft Splinter Cell fan, playing a stealth sort of game, that was fun that they did. It was basically you get to play as different type of characters, kind of like characters that have different abilities and stuff like that and different looks, and you would walk in the world of Assassin's Creed, and then you would try to pick out who is the the person, and then you got to kill them, right? And you get points or whatever the game type ended up
Sounds
being.
like Watch Dogs.
Kind of like Watch Dogs.
Did they do that in Watch Dogs?
A little bit.
The environments were smaller.
The environments, yeah. But basically, and you can climb rooftops and all that stuff. Like it was all Assassin's Creed stuff, but in a multiplayer setting, which was kind of interesting, if not okay.
I played a little bit. I don't remember which one I did the multiplayer for, but I remember doing some multiplayer for Assassin's Creed. I didn't really think it was
Brotherhood on, if I'm not mistaken.
Brotherhood was the first one, and it had really good multiplayer.
Yeah. It was a fun time. And then this was different because they took all of that out. It's not competitive. It's competitive in a cooperative way, and it was kind of cool, but it didn't do anything.
Yeah, again, it's just like. Maybe if they delayed it and gave the game more time, we'd feel differently. But yeah, it's just it also just like with the outside perspective, like the real world perspective, you're just some random like user that's a consumer, and then like two of the side characters from Desmond's story like infiltrates your thing, saying like we need your help. And
is this the video game stuff, or was that established in 4?
Huh?
Is this the VR stuff, or is that with 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, because they basically ended like Abstergo just ended up starting to sell the product where you could play as different assassins and stuff like that. Okay, whatever. So yeah, Unity, like it's not a terrible game. It's just for an Assassin's Creed game, it's just low bar.
Out of the ones, it's definitely a low tier. It's definitely in the
all right. I'm ready.
Okay. Does anyone think agree with? I mean, we'll put it in low tier right now, and we'll talk about it later.
It's low tier.
Yeah, we can all agree it's low tier though.
Yeah.
So next up is Assassin's Creed Syndicate, taking place in Victorian London or London.
Hey, Governor.
The zip line's really cool.
The zip line is
I
really
like
cool.
that thing.
I like how your hideout was on a train. That was
really cool.
Hideout's on a train that's constantly moving around the city. Really cool.
Yep.
You can customize your hat. That was really nice.
That was pretty rad. Yeah.
The underground fights.
Underground fights is kind of fun.
Really cool.
Yep.
Big fan of Sherlock Holmes at the time. Was watching that.
There's Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, I liked rescuing the workers and stuff like that. That was really cool.
Yeah.
This is a really solid game. Just like overall, like really, really solid. It doesn't do anything like outstandingly that particularly stands out, but it's just a very solid game and a solid Assassin's Creed game.
I think it's just like very like forgettable in some ways. Like I don't really remember. I mean, I really don't remember any of the story for any of them.
I don't remember the story at all.
I just remember like loving the time period. Like I really like going into
the scale of the city really stood out to me once you got the zip line. Like I felt like the city, you really start in some small areas, but once you get that, it starts to really open up and you see how large the city is that they've created in the game, and that's really cool. I do agree. Yeah, it doesn't do anything super particularly well. The Fries aren't bad characters either, and it's kind of cool that you could get to bounce between them. They've each got a fair amount of like that Assassin's Creed charisma that you're looking for. Like you mentioned that like Connor has none. Kenway's like, I don't know, he's about halfway there.
He's Drunken Sailor? Yeah. He's been played by the way, Matt Ryan. We didn't say that. He's Constantine, which is really cool.
Yeah, Constantine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Syndicate kind of gets back to that point where it's like, the Fries are kind of like fun characters to play as, whereas a lot of the other ones definitely aren't.
Eve, right?
What's that?
Jacob and Eve?
Yes.
Jacob and I forget the girl's name, but that sounds right.
Evie.
The one also cool part is that there's you're either Evie or Jacob. I don't remember who it was, but one of them goes to like an animacy thing, like a time fracture, and they're climbing at the Eiffel Tower, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was actually really cool.
Like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah. Didn't they do like was this the one where they did like all that like weird, like you'll randomly go into different time periods during certain parts?
Yeah.
That was
really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, like the Statue of Liberty at one point.
I thought I saw that. Yes.
That was so cool.
I was like, this is kind of cool.
That stuff was awesome.
Yeah.
That was so cool. Also, the thing that stood up to me the most in this game was specifically, it was a very short part of the game, but I loved it, was when you played as, I believe it was Evie's daughter, and it's World War I time.
Interesting.
It literally jumps, and like you're a different assassin, but you're definitely one of their kids.
Oh, see,
and it's during World War I time, and you're trying to cross like London Bridge at a point and things like that. Like, and there's war shit going on. There's zeppelins in the air and shit like that. It was really cool, really cool. Just like it's like a one-time thing that happens during the game.
No, that's cool.
Really,
I really wish I gave this game more time, to be totally honest. I don't know why I pulled myself away from it like I did. I bought it.
Go back to it.
I could, but there's just so much now.
There's too many other games.
I want to rewatch Last Airbender. I gotta rewatch Twin Peaks. There's so many things.
So yeah,
how many times have you watched Twin Peaks, sir?
Not enough.
Yeah, I would consider it middle tier personally.
Yeah, I think I'm with you.
Is it above
I slapped
Assassin's
it
Creed?
on our dock. I slapped it like right smack dab in the middle right now. So
Cool.
I'm actually gonna look at your dock.
All right, next up after that we have Assassin's Creed Origins.
Oh, this is my favorite.
Rules.
Yeah, this game's awesome. I love this game. This is my personal favorite. I'm playing through it right now. I'm about like 15 hours in, and I think that like initially, I think we were talking in like the DualShockers Discord about how Assassin's Creed, like I think from this point on, we think of it as like they kind of step away from like the actual stealth gameplay that we know from Assassin's Creed and becomes more action oriented. I've been playing this game. A lot of the missions definitely favor stealth, like rather than action gameplay. I think the difference is that like there's no fail states, and like if you fuck up on a stealth mission, sorry I swore. If you mess up on like a stealth mission, then like
Cam has messed that up a couple times.
There's no.
Sorry, I was never told.
That's fine.
I'm sorry.
No, you can do that. I don't know why Mike said that.
Sorry,
He's been doing it a couple videos. It's fine.
It's just whatever reflex.
I'll try. Regardless, I'll try and lay off the language.
But yeah, like you mess up on a stealth mission, it's not like it's the end of the world. You can just mess up some people and it's fine. But I feel like it definitely like promotes stealth still in Origins. I don't think it really does in Odyssey. I think Odyssey is where it really becomes like more of an action game. And so like I still think it has that kind of like stealth gameplay that you're still looking for from Origins, but also like a definitely like new like it gave the series like a new like breath of fresh air basically. Like it was such a cool time period, like going through ancient Egypt and stuff like that. It's such an awesome game. And Bayek is my personal favorite assassin out of all of them.
Bayek rules. That's like the big takeaway from this game.
Bayek is by far my favorite after Ezio.
Yeah, yes.
He like I feel like all of his actions and stuff like that, like everything that he's doing, I'm like, yes, I do what you got to do to get this stuff done. It's all like,
and his wife too. Yeah.
I think what I like about Bayek the most is like he's multifaceted. Like he's not a one-note character, which I feel like the other games, like in the same way that Ezio, like he's got a very tragic backstory, but he's still this very charismatic, fun person. Like Bayek's son dies super early in this game, and like he's not just this downer like Batman character the rest of the game. Like he's traveling across Egypt. He's having fun with people. He's like interacting with kids. He's like a really nice dude. Like he's just got different sides to his personality, which I appreciate. And he's extremely personable with people, and he's just a likable character that you just enjoy playing as.
Yes.
And that's really refreshing.
I just like how he's a flawed character. Like there are times in the game where he makes decisions. I'm like, I don't think you're doing the right thing here, dude, but I got to do it anyway, and we'll see where it goes. And and he's just very like, I love how he's good with how good he is with kids. Like there's so many missions where you're talking to kids. Yeah, and he's just so like fatherly, and he's a great character. He's a really
they
great
always bring back like. It's kind of like how he would want to have treated like his like dead son, basically. Like, it's really it's an awesome game. Like that is for me, that is my number one Assassin's Creed. Like this is the one that I would put at number one.
So for me personally, it's my third favorite. But I think that after Origins or maybe Rogue, personally, there's a pretty big gap in like my favorites. Yeah. So Assassin's Creed Origins, at least probably this generation, has my favorite open world. Like, I love Red Dead Redemption 2, like as a game, but like when it comes to just open worlds to explore, it's definitely Origins, because it's just like, it's kind of like it's empty, but it's beautiful. Like it's just so hard to explain because like I don't like
it's an Egyptian desert.
It's empty where it needs to be empty, and it's populated where it needs to be populated.
Yeah,
It's like empty. It's like a desert area where like obviously no one's going to live there, but like when you go to a populated city, it's populated. It's great.
It fits the theme of Egypt, where yes, the dead things are dead and the live things are all alive. Like the lusciousness when you go to green areas, the dead desert when you go into the dead desert. But also, as a kid, man, the same thing with Assassin's Creed 4. I'm like, give me a pirate game. I very much, ever since I saw 1999's The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser, I needed an Egyptian movie where I was a badass on top of a pyramid. And damn, was I glad that this game gave it to
You
me.
could slide down a pyramid, and it's freaking awesome.
It's freaking awesome. You can ride a chocobo in the desert.
And
You can do that, actually.
It still felt great as like an Assassin's Creed game because it was like you're still doing that old school. Okay, we're doing these missions to find this person so we can take him out, and like you're going up the chain of command. And I loved how they all had nicknames like based off animals.
Snake
and
Viper.
The cinematics in the White Room after you kill one of them were stunning.
With the feather.
Stunning. Like it wasn't a white room anymore. They made it like more like a blue.
It was like blue, yeah. And they were like water or whatever, and
it's gorgeous.
And then they sink into the water. Yeah.
I will say the donkey video has ruined me.
I watched that the other day.
I know when the feather touches them and then they disappear. I mean, it's a little silly, but I love thematically. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Thematically.
No, I love Origins, and like the way it ends is a really great it's kind of like that inspiration, like optimism of like the beginning of the Brotherhood. Like,
Oh,
I really love it.
When the skull hits the beach and it makes the logo, I like guffawed.
Yeah, I really want to go back to that world, like, cause I'm pretty sure I 100% of that game. Like, I did every mission in that game. Like, I did everything that game had to offer because of how much I loved it. But
what's his wife's name?
Huh?
What is his wife's name?
Aya.
She's awesome in that game too.
She's also awesome,
she's
and she's a big part in the DLC, right?
And like, huh?
Doesn't she have like a big part in the DLC?
I don't know about the DLC, but like the season pass is on sale right now, and I really want to get it so I can go back to give me an excuse to go back to that world. But I'll get it eventually because I definitely want to go back to that game in some fashion.
Yeah,
but
she could also be in your ship in Odyssey, which is cool. So there's that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the missions that she's in where you play as her, you're on a ship, like you're controlling the ship stuff. So
yeah, really cool stuff. I love that game. So higher tier,
definitely,
definitely higher tier.
Absolutely.
There's games in the Assassin's Creed that bring me back because I dip out. I dipped out after 3, and I went away for a while when Unity then came out, and that's when I played 4. And then 4 brought me back. And then same thing with this. This brought me back after a slew of games, which was Unity, Syndicate, and then that whole gap of time. So very happy to be back.
Okay. And then lastly, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
This game rules, just like Origins. So I'll start with this because I know I think I'm probably the only one here who prefers this one compared to Origins. And I want to say this first. It's like very close between. It's not like I prefer Odyssey like drastically more than Origins. I like this time period way more in Odyssey compared to Origins, just because I don't know, Greek mythology is cooler to me, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of things that I enjoy in this game. I like the sailing. I like that the sailing aspect of 4 is back in a somewhat prominent way. Because I love Black Flag was my favorite one before this, so having that return in a somewhat major way was something I really enjoyed. I think a lot of the mechanics that they introduced in Origins are better here, especially when it comes to combat and stuff like that. They turned it way more into an RPG, like being able to Spartan kick people off cliffs and things like that is awesome. I am a huge fan of those things. So like those little special abilities and things like that they threw in that weren't in there before, I enjoyed greatly. And I think even on the story front, like honestly, both with Origins and Odyssey, I think the things that have taken me back and surprised me about both is how engaging the story is. Like not only from the beginning, I think they both hook you early, but I'm surprised with how they kept me hooked throughout too. The thing with Odyssey that I really enjoyed was, and Odyssey goes off the rails in some sections for sure, But the thing that I enjoyed more than anything is that how it stays true to that story of family throughout, and how it also ties in the second playable character in the game, which is really cool. And I've never seen anybody do this before with the whole Alexios and Cassandra thing, where whatever character you don't choose as, the other one then plays essentially your foil or the antagonist for a large portion of the game, which I think is a really cool thing that I can't think of anybody else really doing before. It's not like, I don't know. Like, it's not like if you male shepherd or femme shep, and it's like the other one, if they somehow involve the other one, like, oh, femme shep because you're playing as male shepherd is like an agent of Saren or something like that. I know that wouldn't make sense, but that's essentially what they do in this game. And I think it's a really novel idea to just not leave that character that they have designed from the ground up on the cutting room floor. I like this game a lot. I'd go as far to say that this is like probably my favorite action RPG game of the generation. Again, it is like, I love Origins. Like, for me, it is like Black Flag, Origins, and this are my favorites, and the gaps between those is like very nebulous. But time period wise and just having the ship stuff back involved probably puts this over Origins for me, in my opinion. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I played a lot of it. I think I got to the point where you learned that I played as Cassandra. I got to the point where you learned that Alexios is like the bad guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like knowing that reveal is like really cool. And I thought the gameplay was still good. I thought it got away more from the like stealth gameplay. But I definitely still like enjoyed my time that I did with Odyssey. But I was also playing Odyssey at a time where I didn't want to play super long video games. So that's
I was there too, and I still poured like 80 hours into this game for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's super solid for me, especially during that time where I didn't want to play long video games. I played like 30 hours of this video game, so it's not like I didn't put hours into it. It's just that I didn't end up finishing it, but I still really enjoyed my time with it for sure. And I would say it's probably like a top tier.
I mean, to be honest, like, I don't know, Cam, I know feels differently about this game, but I think for everybody who feels as strongly about Origins, like the DNA between these two games is like 75% similar. So if we feel strongly about Origins, I feel like that it's hard to not like a lot of things that this one's doing as well at the same time, even if Cam, I know you, like I said, I know you've got some different things on this one.
So I just want to say, like, I don't think Odyssey is a bad game. Like, I think it's a very well made game. Like, absolutely. Like, it's gorgeous. There's so much stuff that you can do. And I think that's kind of one of its issues for me, is that there's too much to do. Like, in the sense of like,
it's a like, super overwhelming video game.
Like, too much going. There's like too much going on. Like, it's cool that the ship is back, but it's not. It feels kind of in the way.
It's not as integral to the story as to the game as like the pirate ship was in 4, where that was like one of the main aspects of the game. It's definitely like a side note.
Like, if you're gonna commit to the ship stuff, like commit to the ship stuff. And for me, like, when I found out that Origins was taking place during the Egyptian time and stuff like that, I was like, I don't care about this. And then when I found out about Odyssey being Greek, I'm like, let's go. Like, this is what I want. But for some reason, like, the Greek world didn't click with me, but the Egyptian world was awesome. Like, I loved it. And I don't know. So, you know, and then Cassandra and I'm playing as Cassandra. Like, very generic. Like she's charisma, but like she has no depth. Like, I don't feel any depth in her character. And part of that might be because like there's dialogue choices and things like that. And you know, you can choose whether or not she's like more nice or more rude, and you know, that might be a part of it. But like when I saw her in action, like when they showed her like at E3 or something like that, I was like, oh, Cassandra looks cool. Like, I'm like, she might be one of my favorite assassins after this. And like, I do not like, I don't like her. I don't know. I don't really care for her that much. I don't know. And it might be because I've played over 25 hours of this game, but I feel like I'm still really early in the story. Like, I'm still looking for their mom. I don't know if that's still really early.
I think it's like 2/3 of the way through when that portion starts, not for you. I mean, whenever you do run into that character, I think that's like about 2/3 of the way in or so.
Okay,
something
yeah.
around.
I know about the cultists and things like that. And
Yeah.
it's like there's just so much going on. It's like, okay, so you have the mercenaries to deal with, and then you're also trying to find out about the cultists, and then like
Forgot about the
blah blah
mercenaries.
blah blah blah. It's like there's too much going on, and then like I really don't like the combat. I think the combat's pretty lackluster in the sense of just like the actual fighting. Like,
I think it's I think
the abilities and stuff are cool. I'm cool with that, but I just don't like that. And then kind of what Michael said about Assassin's Creed Origins is that even though it's a really big open map and things like that, like they still made the missions stealth focused. Like they still made you feel like you're an assassin in this world. Where like it's Cassandra, I'm like I'm just some chick, you know? Like it just.
Do you know the twist at the end of this game, Cam? By the way,
okay,
I do not.
So
I don't know if you want me to say it or not, but like
I think I know it already.
Okay,
but like I'm sure that there's going to be some point, like it's just one of those things. Like
I'll just say it makes sense why it's not as assassin focused as you would want it to be.
I'm sure.
So they do. It does make sense, like thematically with the story, why that is somewhat the case, I guess. But at the same time, I get it. That franchise is Assassin's Creed. So
yeah, and to be fair, I'm in the place where Cam is in the game, where I haven't progressed much in the game, but from where I stand, the game to me, I'm at a halt in the game, and I think it's funny because I'm referring to the Donkey video because I have watched it recently. Donkey talks about this specifically in this game where the game, like you're playing and then there's a level gap. And then you have to get to a certain level to actually progress to the story, the meat of what I want.
But that's not different from Origins, though.
But Origins, for some reason, just worked more. I don't know.
Origins, there's a part like where I'm at right now is where you kill. I forgot what the person's name is, but it's like a level 20 mission or a level 21 mission. And the next one's level 25,
and then
you have to fill in that gap with a bunch of side missions.
But
it's different.
But it might not be different. But I will say it is the character and the actual person that you're doing the missions with. The different side quests. I don't remember. Did you actually have dialogue choices in Origins where you can be left, right, beer, dick?
There's no.
That was probably why. Because I'm following this character story and not developing my own, where I didn't really want to decide who Cassandra was. I wanted Cassandra to be a defined person already. That's why I like Enzo Amore or like Bayek, because they were defined people from the story, and that's what carried me through it. So when you do the side missions with the kids and stuff like that, I'm like, that to me is interesting, and it carried me through to leveling up. But for some reason in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I'm left to my own devices, and I just like it just gets too much at a certain point, and then I said, the character doesn't develop because of that. I don't know that, even though it's my own choice.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I agree with that. Bayek's way more fleshed out. I totally agree with that for the record.
I just want to say that, like, I think a lot of it comes down to Odyssey. I think concentrates a little bit more on like the combat stuff, where I think Origins like allows you to kind of stealth kill a bunch of people. Where like it kind of like Origins and Odyssey both basically have the same combat system, and I think the combat system really in Assassin's Creed generally is not great, and it never has been great.
Sure.
And I think it got better with Origins and Odyssey, but it's still not really that fun. Or I don't want to say not fun because I still love playing it.
Quick question.
It's just not like a great. Sorry.
No. Just to catch me up, because it's been a bit since I played the game. There's a bar that has actions, if I'm not mistaken, and then is there cooldowns for all your moves?
No, so you have your health bar and then you have your adrenaline bar of sorts.
And then what do I use to do my skills? My spark kits. What does that take up? Doesn't it take time to reload? Is it cooldowns?
Bottom of the screen.
So I have to build that up to do that, right? And then
but it's not hard.
It's not hard, but I'm just saying that's just a little different than Origins is how they did it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not even complaining about the actual fighting.
I think Origins combat is a little bit more grounded than Odyssey, and Odyssey's a little bit more hack and slashy.
For sure.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're getting kind of.
I'm not even talking about the fact that.
Like I said, I think both the combat systems are pretty much like very similar.
Pretty similar outside of the additions of like the Spartan kicks. Yeah. I mean, I just go to that one because that was the main one.
Is that it highlights it a little bit more, so we notice like the flaws of the combat rather than Origins, where those moments are a little bit more subtle and we don't really get don't really have the same amount of time as we do with it.
And I'll say that I'm also a little colored differently with this story versus Origins, primarily because Origins, I knew what my focus was. I was going to kill the MFers that took my son. When this one, it's sort of like years have passed, and some tragic thing happens to you and you're trying to find your family. I'm sure that correlates later in the game that hopefully will get to. I will play more of this game. It's just that.
Well, that's the thing is like, there's like a lot of different, and this is the thing I actually liked about this game a lot. And this is why I felt like it offset the thing we were talking about with the need to grind, where it was like, well, now I can't progress the find my mom portion of the story, but hey, I've got the main, it's not technically main, I guess, but like, hey, I can go hunt some cultists, or hey, I can try to up my merc rank, or hey, I don't know how far you guys get in, but there's like all the Eden items and stuff like that. The Apple of Eden stuff. There's not, I forget what they're called, but all the mythological elements of stuff and things like that, which you're not really allowed to access until you get pretty high level in the game, which kind of stinks. But there's like an A plot, and then there's a B, C, D, and E, and really you do not see every, like, you'll wrap up the family through line of finding out what's up with your family and stuff like that, and that story ends, and I think the credits even roll. But the game is like far from actually over. Like you don't get the full context of everything that is going on in that game until you hunt down all the cultists, until you find.
I'm sure.
Is the
and there's like it's not even really a true ending. It is just like that's what you have to actually do to beat the game.
Yeah, and I was gonna actually bring that up because didn't they have DLC that was the true ending? Or is that just a fake
they expand on all of the like weird Atlantis stuff that is in that game.
I was gonna say the word, but I was gonna say that A thing. I was like, okay.
Well, I don't feel like that's, I don't know. Sorry if that was a spoiler. There's literally a DLC package called like something of Atlantis out there. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the definitive end. That's kind of crazy.
I didn't play, so I haven't played the DLC packages. I wanted to, and then it just got, I don't know. I'm
not gonna spoil it, but I did hear what that ending was, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. The ending, the actual ending of the game, like, without saying too much, well, this isn't saying too much. They tie it back in with the modern day storyline, the stuff with the what's her face, and the way they tie it in is like, it's just hilarious. Like you can't take it seriously. It's in a schlocky way. Okay, it's just really dumb.
I'm a red versus media. I'm a red letter media guy. I know a schlock. All right,
yeah, cool. It's really campy. But I would lean towards saying it's bad. It's definitely not good, but it's like so outlandish that it's almost great.
All right. All right.
So yeah,
I'm gonna play the game now. You just convinced me. I reinstall it on my computer.
I'm gonna finish the game. And part of my experience might be because I'm playing the game on hard. That might have something.
That would probably make everybody a little bit more sword spongy. I would imagine more so than they already are.
Like, I have problems finding a place to hide in this game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know it's much more action oriented, but like, dude, like if I'm in this fort, like hey, take down this fort to get the chest that you need or whatever, and I'm like, what? How do I approach this outside of going like straight in and just fighting until hopefully I live? There's like hardly any ways to approach like big areas like that in Odyssey. And then also like in some of the, I feel like some of the ways that they try and expand on those quests like are kind of dumb. Like I got to keys or something like that, or Kess or something, and then the chick's like, give me 17,700 drachmae and get back to me, and I'm just like, what
is that? The pirate person?
Yeah, the pirate queen chick. And I'm just like, what? And then she's like, oh, you can go to this fort and get a chest, and then you'll be good. And then I get the chest. I'm not good. I'm a game. I have like 4,000 drachmae. I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah, there are some weird. That's a really weird part of the game. I did not like that part.
It's just like, okay, and like Origins, like at least with. I know it's just hard not to compare the two because they're so similar, but also so different. But like, again, like just like Origins has just had me do Assassin Creed things, like go into this Egyptian tomb and get this tablet, and then you get like an ability point and things like that. Like I loved doing that shit. Like I felt like it was worth my time to do those things. While like I feel in this game that everything I'm doing just it just feels kind of like a chore. You know,
You're
what I mean?
straight up you're a mercenary in this game, and yeah, like that straight up shows in the gameplay. So like the complaints of like I don't feel like an assassin, absolutely.
Yeah, and most of the side quests, I don't care. Like I don't care about the characters.
I think there's some great side quests in that game
compared to Origins, huh?
There's some great side quests in that game if you find them. There's one with the lady who's like husband doesn't make love to her anymore, and you can decide to make love to her, and she's like an grandma lady.
It's a
I don't know if you found that one. That's a very good one.
A very good side quest. I've seen that one.
You're having sex with this chick now. Like, yeah, it's funny, but like, it's not like it's not like really like memorable for like good reason. Like, oh well, I don't want to say it because Michael is here, but there's this really
say it. It's fine.
Okay, so there's this quest where you're like in the boat or whatever, and then the giant snake in the tomb. I'm like, that was fucking awesome. Yeah, wasn't that fucking awesome?
I did that part just yesterday.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
Did you also find out at the end you took like a lot of drugs or something, and that's why you're hallucinating?
Yeah.
Oh man, okay.
There's some really good side. There's some really good side. So again, a lot of it is late game content, but all the mythological stuff I think is largely like extremely good. There's a story, like the way they incorporate. I think it's the Minotaur. There's a really good story with that. What they do with the
Cyclops is fun.
The Medusa. The Medusa is really good. There's a really good subplot with that is actually pretty emotional and has a pretty emotional conclusion. There's really good side quests in that game, I think. They are. I won't say not all of them are as good as. I mean, there's good ones and there's crummy ones or just forgettable ones for sure. But they're. I think the more you get into that game, the more you'll appreciate some of the later ones. The myth stuff is really fun, I think.
Yeah, like it's cool. I want to love this game. I want to love this game, but just everything just kind of feels like I don't care. Just skip the cutscenes and like let's get on with it. Like it'll save me my time. Like when it comes to like side quests, in that sense, like I think it does a good job at everything it's trying to do as a game, but I don't think it's a good Assassin's Creed game. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I hope that changes once I play more. Because like I'm interested in the cultist stuff. I'm interested about like Alexios being the antagonist and things like that. I thought that was really cool. But when it comes to just like the small details, it just really kills the game for me.
Without saying too much, the cultist stuff, see that through to the end if you want to see how it ties into the larger series. That is where that narrative payoff comes through.
Yeah, I assume that's the case. So
that's how. Yeah, that's kind of how it ties into the larger saga.
Yeah.
I put this one mid tier for now. Again, I feel like it's super closely related to Origins. I feel.
You put it mid.
I put it below Origins. I don't know. There's a huge clump of Black Flag, Origins, this Brotherhood, and 2, and I just feel like those are all one big blob. We'll have to figure out here. So I just put it all up in that upper mid tier for right now.
Under Origins for right now.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, now we've talked about them all. Now we ordered them. I actually think this will be easier than we think, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I only think 1 or 2 games might be like heavily contested, like where we might have to have more of a debate. But I think this.
Let's start from the bottom up. I think we should do. I think it's easiest. I think Unity can be placed in last.
Yeah, I think
that's fine. Yeah,
I agree.
That's fine. Yeah,
that's fair.
Liberation.
Bottom 3, like from bottom up, I would go Unity 3 and 1. I don't know if we can all hold hands on that one.
I think.
What do you want to do with Liberation?
Yeah, I would think we do Unity 3 Liberation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Unity Liberation 3 1. Because we have to play
agree with
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel disingenuous putting a game I've never played above one that I have played, even though it. Yeah.
Because we haven't played it. No one's played it.
Yeah. Okay.
Unity 3 1.
Yeah.
Wait, so Liberation last?
Yes,
Unity
last. No one's played it.
Okay.
I have opinions on Unity,
Maybe we
actually no. I push back on that. Unity straight up. The franchise pain that Unity caused is like Liberation didn't do that. Liberation might just be totally fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I just think. I mean, my whole rant from earlier about how Unity is just.
I agree.
I agree with you 100%.
Liberation 3.
I would do Unity, Liberation 3.
As long as Unity is bottom bitch, I don't care.
So Unity. All right. So bottom 4: 12th Assassin's Creed Unity, 11th Assassin's Creed Liberation, 10th Assassin's Creed 3, 9th Assassin's Creed. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. After that, I would put
Revelations, I think. But I haven't played Rogue, which is hard for me.
So to talk about go ahead, sorry.
I think I would put Revelations or Syndicate. Like I could see them both going in that spot for different reasons.
I think Syndicate is still a good game, and it was just hurt by what happened with Unity.
And this is what I'm going to say as a fan of that trilogy, that middle trilogy, that Enzo. Did I say it right?
Why do you keep saying that?
Now I hang it on my goddamn head. The Ezio trilogy, that like mid-tier trilogy. To me, Revelations is, while a great ending for me for those characters, everything else leading to that doesn't add up, including the location, the things you do in that game, the main story stuff. In terms of like the game itself, like it's not as memorable as Brotherhood with the people jumping it. Like none of that to me compares. Yeah, no. So that's why when I say Syndicate is higher than Revelations, is because I did enjoy the London atmosphere. I did enjoy the main characters. I did enjoy the areas that you were in, and of course the the zipliney stuff. That's why I'm saying that's
fair. I will say regarding my piece with Revelations is that I still think it did a lot of really cool things with Desmond and Altair and just about the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Honestly, I'm not gonna fight this one that hard if we put Revelations. Like as long as we put Syndicate right above Revelations, I'm cool with Revelations going up.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
I would put Syndicate above Revelations. The thing about Revelations, I legitimately cannot remember a single thing about that game, and that could just be me having a bad memory. But I could not tell you a single dang thing about that game other than what I was telling you with the Hub World Desmond junk. That is all I remember from that game.
No, and I honestly think that's a fair thing.
But that's probably because I played Syndicate a lot more recently. I don't remember much about Revelations as well, but I do remember a lot about Desmond stuff, which I really liked.
The Desmond and the ending of Altair and the ending of
yeah, for sure. All right, let's
Revelations 8
next up.
Yeah, let's do Revelations 8
and then
Syndicate 7.
Syndicate 7, yeah.
Yeah. As you're updating this, Logan, I'm updating it
now,
too.
This is where things are going to start getting spicy.
Yeah, this is where it gets kind of odd.
Number 6. I'm gonna say we put down Odyssey at 6.
It's more that
here's the snafu.
Explain it to you, Logan, right here.
None of us have played Rogue, so it's like.
Hold on. Let me explain to you. If you love Black Flag, I promise you're gonna love Rogue.
Well, I'd put Odyssey above Black Flag. Odyssey is my favorite Assassin's Creed game, probably.
Okay, Michael, and
well, here's the thing, it's because I've never played Rogue either, and
Rogue,
and I do like Black Flag, and I think Black Flag is the one that really got me into Assassin's Creed again.
That's a tough
story. But at the same time, Odyssey, the time that like I said, I didn't beat it. I also put 30 hours into that video game, which I think is a good enough amount of time to put into a video game.
Let's put some perspective. Let me try and make a deal here. So
okay, let's hear the deal. I'm all for deals in this stuff, so let's hear it.
Wild card.
Logan, we put Odyssey at 6, but then we immediately put Rogue at 5.
I mean,
it would have to be between. It would have to be between the two.
It'll go below Black Flag. We both take L's. Take L's.
I don't feel like we're both taking L's, are we?
I think you're taking L's. I think you are taking L's. The thing of it is Black Flag is higher than both of those.
Well, here's the thing. This is honestly where I would come down on this. How do you feel about Origins compared to Rogue? Like just in a sense of like gameplay systems and stuff like that. Because again, if you feel way more strongly about Origins, I do not feel like Odyssey is super distanced from Origins enough to the point that you could say it's like Rogue is drastically better for any one reason or another, if that makes sense.
Where Rogue really shines is with its story, because Black Flag, while the gameplay was great, and the gameplay I would say is better than Rogue because there's more upgrades to your ship. It's a bigger map, things like that. And Rogue was meant to be, again, like a smaller version of Black Flag. I think that like Origins, as someone who like loved the Desmond era of Assassin's Creed story, I like the story in Rogue more.
And Origins?
In Rogue.
But yeah, Rogue compared to Origins is what I'm saying.
Compared to Origins, yes. I like the story in Rogue more than Origins, but I like Bayek more than Shay. And I like the world of Origins more than Rogue. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Just mechanically, I guess, then how do you feel about them? Because I mean that's the crossover DNA.
Black Flag. It's Black Flag.
By the way, real quick, Mike, every time you move, I have to adjust your camera.
You have to adjust my camera every time I move?
I've been doing it every time. Yes.
You should have told me that. I didn't know that.
That's fine. I just noticed that you're pointing this way to the camera.
The gameplay is verbatim Black Flag. It's the exact same design in every sense of the word.
The thing of it is that like for me personally, like I like Origins gameplay, and Odyssey has the same gameplay. It's just that it focuses more on the combat stuff than like really anything else. So it's not that I don't like the gameplay of Odyssey. It just focuses on kind of like the part that I think is probably the weakest of it.
I'm just saying that if like Rogue is like kind of that tipping point for me where like if we put Rogue under Odyssey, sure, but I'm going to fight tooth and nail that Odyssey does not get any higher. Because I think
this is where it's at.
Well, and I could live with that too, if we do Rogue then Odyssey. Because again, like the thing for me too, and the stuff that I feel the most strongly about with Odyssey in retrospect is a lot of like the things that open up once you get to the later portions of that game. And that's not to say that I think the early stuff is bad either, because I think the first 20 hours of that game are actually really compelling. And I was actually pretty pressed to keep playing that game just on a story basis when I first started playing it more than anything. But on a mechanical level and the things that open up to you once you get really high level in that game, and then the story payoffs that I know you like and that you've talked about that are important with the through line stuff, I think those really come late in Odyssey. And I know you guys nobody here has gotten to that point. And those are the things that I think are really cool in that game, just as far as like what sets it in that franchise.
I do really like the world of Odyssey too. And I do really dig Greek mythology stuff too. So it's like
Odyssey is
the world is better in Odyssey than Rogue. Like because most of the time you're on a boat, or I'm in like areas that I've kind of already been in Assassin's Creed 3. Because again, it kind of takes place in the same area as Assassin's Creed 3, but it has the gameplay of 4. So it's one of those things like. I like the gameplay of Rogue more. It's the abilities in Odyssey are cool, but I think just for the bare bone combat, I think it's terrible. I think it's bad. And I really liked 4 and Rogue's combat with the guns and like it had a certain rhythm that not even like Brotherhood or 2 had with its combat. Where it just had a certain kind of flow when you're fighting like numerous enemies on a boat or something like that. I don't know. So again, like if you guys haven't played Rogue, so I can't be too upset if you guys
here's what
don't think it should go.
I'm probably buying Rogue as soon as we're done with this conversation, if I'm being honest, because I have been playing that game for a long time.
I'll probably grab it because I know it's on sale on everybody.
Yeah, it's like $10. I just looked a second ago.
So I'll probably grab it. So
that's good. How about this?
For me, as someone who really likes the main story like of Assassin's Creed, like and even though like I didn't love Assassin's Creed 3, I still to a degree enjoyed the story of it and like the characters outside of Connor. That I was surprised by Rogue. I was legitimately like, wow, I wish this was on the next gen console and not Unity. Like it was that good.
Here's my compromise. Let's just let them lay as they are now on the field. Let Rogue just be where it is, and then Odyssey where it is.
I was gonna say we could move up because I feel like some of these other ones might be easier.
I think the real fight is going to be the last 4.
Well, I'll say this so Cam is aware of this because I know I'm already outnumbered. Like if we do Rogue 6 and Odyssey 5, like I'm fine with that because I realize I can't keep fighting for Odyssey to go any higher.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think I can make Odyssey higher than anything else.
My overall point, though, I think, is just that, like, based on our discussions, I feel like Origins is going to end up top 2, and to put 4 spots lower or 5 spots lower Odyssey, which is like really, it's like so much of those games are very similar to one another. I feel like putting it way below Rogue is almost just, I don't know, kind of crazy for the
I think a lot of it I think a lot of it has to do with, because it's not only just gameplay. I think we're also looking at like protagonist and also the world itself. Yeah. And I think a lot of us feel more strongly about, I think all of us feel just more strongly about Bayek in general as like probably the best assassin next to Ezio. Yes. So I think it has to do a lot with that. And like personally, I like the Egyptian setting more, and I think that world is, I like that world more.
Brendan Fraser, man, yeah.
So Brendan Fraser.
This is why
Scorpion King.
Like this. Here's the thing. Like in just like, even though like I don't like Odyssey as an Assassin's Creed game, but in the sense of just quality of these games, I think all of them are like in the same tier. Like to a degree. Like I think they're all very well made games, and I think that we should just kind of have that mindset that like this is. At this point, we're talking about top tier. Like we're talking about the top tier Assassin's Creed games.
And I agree with you. I just think that as of the way that we have the list now, especially at the bottom tier now, I think is actually pretty set in how we all feel and on all that. And I just know that with Odyssey and with Logan's passion, obviously, on that game, and you're very much passionate with Rogue, to me, your guys are at a standstill for those because I can go either way, honestly. But
I think I'm not. Yeah, neither of these are going to move past 5.
And
I mean, these are going to be 5 and 6.
Because here's the thing, like we all love Black Flag. We like all of us who have played 2 and Brotherhood like love those games. Everyone who's played Origins love those games.
Yeah.
Not everyone loves Odyssey. I'm the only one who played Rogue, so it just kind of makes sense just based off that alone.
I think
it's a thing. It's a thing where you've played Rogue and the rest of us haven't, and then I've played all of Odyssey and not everybody else has here. And again, everybody's played Odyssey to some degree, so it's a different thing where 3 of us haven't played Rogue. I get that, but I guess with a game the size of Odyssey, it's like got 150 hours of content. It is drastically different. When I've played, I don't know, I've probably played 80 to 100 hours of that game. And I don't know where you guys are at necessarily.
Well, 3 of us haven't played Liberation, but we still have it above Unity because we think definitively Unity is lesser than.
Again, I'm cool with us. I'm cool with us. For now, putting Rogue at 6 and then Odyssey at 5, and then once Valhalla comes out and we all play Valhalla, maybe we can, like, not a podcast, but we can at least
talk about it.
We can pull
this list back up, and then we can do it. You guys
Odyssey is a combination of Rogue and or Valhalla is a combination of Odyssey and Rogue.
Rogue by then, so we can return to this discussion later.
An update.
I'm happy with 6, even though it's in my top 4 personally.
Yeah,
I'm happy with it.
I think really like the thing with where Brotherhood is and where 2 and Origins.
This is where it's gonna get spicy because I think me and Cam are gonna coup on one of them.
Here's where I'm at. Black Flag could be at 4.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the idea that we were.
I think that's fine. Right?
Black Flag not being top 3 is wrong.
Black Flag is my number 2.
You hurt my heart when you said that.
But like what you guys have talked about, like I know 2 is such like it is beyond just this list. It's like considered one of the best games. I feel like it's like one of the most iconic video games ever made. So it has to, like, for me, it has to be in like the top 3. It just like has to.
2.
Like,
so here's the coup that I think.
I agree.
Hold on. Let's go.
You want me to hold on?
This is what I was gonna say the same thing. Let's get the top 3. 2 of the top 3 are easy. 2 is gonna make top 3, and Origins is gonna make top 3, just based on the conversation. Now it becomes a 3rd and 4th bout between Black Flag and Brotherhood.
No. Cam, high five me down. I'm a high five up. Okay.
I don't think Origins and 2 are top 2. I just think that
I don't know if they're top 2.
Is is.
Well, I'm saying fourth is now a fight between Black Flag and Brotherhood, at least for which goes. Or well,
okay. Now I know what you're trying to say, and I don't like it, but I have a fight here.
You get what I'm saying.
I don't like the way you're trying to say this.
Yes. 2 and Origins are locked in top 3.
We're going back into the list after we figure that out, but I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like what you're trying to assume.
Well, I think Brotherhood is the 4 out of this. So
you're wrong.
I think it's at least 3 or 2.
No, yeah, it's definitely in top 3, dog.
So here's the thing: we're gonna lose on Black Flag. The writing's on the wall that we're gonna lose on Black Flag here because Cam's argument is gonna be that it's not a good Assassin's Creed game, which I understand.
Let me say this out loud. Hold on. My number 1, or I'm sorry, number 1 is gonna be Origins. For me. Number 2 is gonna be Black Flag.
Okay, hold on a second.
Hold on. Number 3 is Brotherhood.
Are you talking about like ranked or just
from the
top
top
3 of
from the 4 that we have left?
So number 2 is 4.
Cam, I need your help. Cam.
I can't. Okay, here's the thing. If we're putting Assassin's Creed 2 at number 4, Black Flag's going at number 3. It's happening.
No, Black Flag is top 3.
Black Flag to be much higher.
I think Black Flag at number 3 and Assassin's Creed at number 4, or Assassin's Creed 2 at number 4 is good.
Because here's the thing. Honestly, I would rather, me personally, I love Origins. Origins is number 3 on my personal list. I would rather have Origins at 4 than Assassin's Creed 2.
Well, I think Origins is in all of our it's you said it's your favorite.
It's number 1.
It might be very well. I might prefer it over Black Flag, just given the day. My top 3 is 4, Origins, and Odyssey. So, yeah, I don't know. Origins is really high for me too.
Origins is the one where I'm like,
really high for me, but like, I can't imagine a top 3 where Black Flag is there, but Assassin's Creed 2 isn't.
So
if you say that, we gotta kill Brotherhood.
Now the only one we're saying is definitively safe somewhere in the top 3, right?
Wait, say this again. 2?
Origins is
what's our number 4 pick?
Origins, yes. Origins, yes.
Origins is definitively safe somewhere in the top 3. Right? We're not putting it 4.
Brotherhood secured a number in the top 3. Like,
but that's the problem. We have to fight it with 2, and they're very similar.
I was gonna say they are very similar games.
Both great.
They're both great, but they're both the same thing.
I think personally, 2 should be in the top 3 and Brotherhood.
No, I'm telling you, Brotherhood is better than 2. I'm telling you.
And it's
I think what you guys have said. I think you guys have. You guys are very strong about Brotherhood, and I think Brotherhood should be in the top 3.
Also,
that means introduced the multiplayer, Michael. That's why they're so strong.
No.
Brotherhood has like the best cinematic trailer of any game ever.
Revelation is cool.
Black Flag's got that Drake trailer.
But then I think we fall into a weird thing where it's between 4 and 2. And that's really hard.
Someone who hasn't played 2. Like 2 is better than 4. It's 4 is great.
Look at I'm one who played all of 4 and is one of my favorites, and I'm still here like 4 and 2. That's a hard choice because 2 legitimately it's an iconic video game. Like
I only got to 4 with Black Ops. You can get to 4 with 4, okay?
I like 2 more than Brotherhood personally.
I understand that. I totally get it. It's just I feel mechanically.
Brotherhood and 2. Here, literally like visual. Brotherhood and 2. This is Brotherhood. This is 2. Literally.
Yeah.
Like that's for me.
100%. But I just want to say mechanically, in terms of gameplay, I enjoy Brotherhood more because of the people coming in. That is such a fun mechanic to have 12 homies fly from the sky and just kill a whole crowd.
I'm gonna say that I think Assassin's Creed 4 should be in the top 3 because it single-handedly saved that franchise from destruction. 3 was terrible. 3 was bad. It was critically not great. 4 saved it and got a bunch of people back in, and then burned everybody when Unity came out.
No, I'm just gonna say it was still on the decline, and I'm not saying that 4 is bad. I'm just saying just because from 3 down. I mean, even Revelation's down. Personally, Revelation's down maybe. It isn't until Origins where it's like, oh, this is actually okay. You know what I'm saying? So I won't even. As much as I love 4, I think it's still on that downtick.
I think.
Let me ask this: would it help if we started at 1 and worked our way down to 4?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It might be easier to choose a 1 because I think clearly it's between Brotherhood and Origins.
And I picked Brotherhood.
And
Brotherhood is the best Assassin's Creed game.
I
can't do that.
One of my favorite franchises of all time.
Cam, no, I can't. I can't do it.
What do you mean you can't?
No, I can't do it. Don't make me choose.
You can't?
Don't make me choose, Cam.
Origins is number 1.
Put a gun to your face just now.
Hold on. Let's make a deal here. Next, because these games' qualities are all just like right here. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. It's just that Brotherhood.
Hear me out. Because there's really,
I'm looking at you because you're up here.
Preference. At this point, it's personal preference. Like, next time we rank some sort of franchise, I got you. I got you. Just give me Brotherhood. Just give me Brotherhood, dog.
Cam is giving you. You want Brotherhood at number 1?
Yes, it is the best Assassin's Creed game.
But it's like I can't get down with that at all. It's like my number 4 out of the one we're talking about here. I think 2 is a better experience front to back.
I don't even know if Mike's played it.
I've never played Brotherhood. So, I said that in the first place. I haven't played any of the Ezio games.
I know.
I said that up front.
It's the pinnacle of what that franchise represents. Just the philosophies of the Creed. Like, it's just, oh my god, it's just the complete package. It's
so fun.
Bayek is so cool though.
I mean, here's the thing, and this is me trying to just like read our discussions. We all collectively feel strongest about Origins, which makes me think it would be smartest to put.
Like Origins doesn't mean it's our favorite. Like,
no.
Well, none of our favorites are Brotherhood, though. Like, you're trying to convince a panel of 3 people to put it over Brotherhood over Origins.
No, Mario is tied between Brotherhood and Origins right now.
No.
or is it Brotherhood and 2?
No, to me, it's Origins is 1.
Oh, okay.
It would have been Black Flag, but we're keeping a Black Flag at 4. Is that what we're doing?
I don't know. Black Flag will figure it out.
I figured that one out.
Fuck. It would have been that, and then it would have been no, it would have been 4, and then it would have been Brotherhood. I'm just gonna say that definitively, even though I don't think in my head I'm fighting myself.
I'll say this: Brotherhood getting this high is kind of surprising me in the first place, but I don't know. Maybe that's just. I don't think it's bad.
I think Brotherhood is like a top 3. Like I see it in the top 3. I think Cam and Mario have both said things that are very they feel very strongly about it, and I think it should be in the top 3.
Aren't there tower defense sections in that game where you set up assassins and then just people walk through and they just shoot them all off the building?
I don't
Is that a thing in that game?
If that's Revelations or that one, or
you know what I'm talking about? Where like you can set up assassins at certain key points, and like groups of enemies will like funnel down alleyways, and I think they just like shoot them all. And is that?
But I think you're assassinating people too, though. I think you can place people, and then you're still moving around.
You're making it sound like that's bad.
No, I'm not making it. I'm not trying to make it sound bad. I'm talking it up. That's a thing.
Sure, you're fucking Logan.
So, here's the thing, though. I feel like if Brotherhood is in the top 3, then it's really a fight against 2 and Black Flag, because then I see Origins and Brotherhood fighting for 1 and 2, and then I see 2 and Black Flag fighting for 3 and 4.
Yeah, we just have to like make hard decisions. Like none of this is easy.
Brotherhood. Here's the thing. I feel like at this point, y'all ain't gonna let Brotherhood be number 1. If you give Brotherhood number 2,
I am fine with Brotherhood being
top 3, 100%.
If you give Brotherhood number 2,
maybe.
Then you can do whatever you want with 3 and 4, and I'll just shut up and take it.
All right, Black Flag number 1.
Great.
No. Black Flag is not number 1. No.
I think Brotherhood is I just think Brotherhood's the complete package. It has, in my opinion, the best Assassin's Creed story. I think the modern day stuff is very eventful. It has a very memorable ending.
Broke my heart with Veronica Mars dying. You know,
I think
I will never forget that.
Yeah, I just think that like Ezio just, you see that, Ezio starts as just like this ladies' man that is carefree, doesn't give a fuck, and then his whole life changes. And this is the game where he commits to the creed. Like he commits to the creed. He commits to being the leader of this group. and the future of Assassins, and it just was the representation of what Assassin's Creed was as a franchise during that time, and what how I still see Assassin's Creed, and why I fell in love with the franchise. So it's one of those things like that's why I love Assassin's Creed, is more for the philosophy and the meaning and like the stories that we've gotten from that, and I think that Brotherhood best represents that, and I also think the multiplayer is pretty fun too.
Yeah.
Well,
and like with like Black Flag, like the gameplay's fun, being a pirate's fun, but it doesn't have that Assassin's, like it doesn't have like those things that Assassin's.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not vouching for Black Flag to go very high, because I know that'll be the argument.
In Origins has like it at the very, very end of the game, but not like, but it's more like kind of like a tease of like, oh, this is kind of like how the Brotherhood starts, and
Sure.
Bayek like is starting to train other people.
In the same context of what you just said, where Brotherhood is, or at least Brotherhood is like where Assassin's Creed was. Origins is where Assassin's Creed is. Where it is right now, what it's become, what's the pinnacle so far in terms of the open world, in terms of the characters and the story, in terms of the gameplay. Like, this is what it is, and I think it's a pinnacle of the whole, as the series as a whole, personally. And that's why
that series really needed a shakeup, like drastically. I mean, we talked about how bad Unity stunk the joint up to the point that like no one really bought Syndicate that much either. Like Unity really hurt the franchise, and Origins was the game that like
brought people
saved
back.
it necessarily. But yeah, it brought people back in a major way. And it was the reboot that people had been talking about. Like, people had talked passively for years, like, oh, the franchise needs a reboot. We need to kind of hit the reset button on this. And like, that game did that in a way that like was substantial and actually mattered, and like followed through on what people hoped a reboot of the series would look like, or a soft reboot of the series would look like. And so, yeah, and like, I think Origins works really well on a game on its own merits. How it ties back into the originals is like not super prevalent, but it's there. And then the character work and the story and stuff like that is really good. But then what it means for the larger franchise as a whole, I think, is also pretty important.
Yeah, again, like
So 1 and 2, Origins, Brotherhood.
I'll live if Brotherhood is 2, if we put Origins at 1.
I'm
fine with that.
I'm all for it.
I'm gonna be sad about it, but I'll live, and hopefully
I'm fine with that.
Michael plays the Ezio collection. He'll be like,
I will. I have it.
And
I have it
right.
now.
As long
we'll
as
come back. Like I said, we'll come back. Valhalla will come back. Maybe I'll play it and I'll be like, all right, guys, we were all wrong.
You guys gonna play Rogue by then. But, and then, I gotta get through the Ezio collection.
So 1 Origins.
I'm gonna try and do them as well. So 1 Origins, 2 Brotherhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
As long as we have to me, Cam, you think this is the best Ezio game in the top 3? I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Now, does 2 make it? We're gonna find out.
I think Assassin's Creed, like if someone were to say like Assassin's Creed 2, personally, knowing how close, because basically Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood are kind of like what you're saying with Origins and Odyssey. Logan, they're so similar, but then they have like those small differences that make it like, oh, I'm team this or team that. So when people say like, oh, my favorite Assassin's Creed game is Assassin's Creed 2, I'm like, good, like, cool, like, because mine's Brotherhood, but like I know what, like I understand why Assassin's Creed 2
mechanically they're really similar. I mean, I would say I prefer 2 to Brotherhood, but that's just I think the front to back story in 2 is. I understand that. I think the front to back story in 2 is much more effective, and I think the cliffhanger stuff.
I would agree with that, but I still think just like the moments and the character development and like and just like as an overall package, I think Brotherhood is, because there are things that in Assassin's Creed 2 that I like better than Brotherhood. Like, I like the Assassin's tombs much more than these random fuckos that you find in Rome and search through those tombs, So
and the ending is, in my opinion, better in 2, especially with the Pope fight, which is pretty fun. Or at least the idea.
That sounds rad. You guys just said that this guy kills the Pope. I'm like, holy shit! I need to play this video game.
He doesn't kill him, but he fights him.
It sounded.
He fights.
So,
Then you said something about naked ladies or naked people and freaking
That's
aliens, and I'm like, wait, what?
Again, it's just very small differences in things that make people be on one team or the other, and I respect the hell out of it. I like people that say that Assassin's Creed 2 that they.
All right, so 3 and 4 we got to figure out real quick.
Yeah.
So this is the coup that me and Logan and Mike, right? We're gonna put 4 as 3.
I think 4 just like I'll say this from like a pure enjoyment and like fun level. I don't know if 4's ever been passed in the series for me. Even like I think Odyssey and Origins I prefer more, and I like them more as like full packages more. But Black Flag is just such a fun game, dude. Like I just thoroughly love playing that game.
Yeah, Black Flag is in my top 5. Yeah, Black Flag is in my top 5, and it's at my number 5 spot. And like I think it's great. I think it's fun. I wouldn't say that I think it's the most fun of the series. But the thing that I think that my main issue with it is that it's just a little too straightforward in what you need to do, like in what you want to do. Like it's like, oh, time to board this ship again. It's just kind of repetitive in that sense. Like it's fun, but it's just a little bit too much of the same. There's not a lot enough variety, I would say. Like I love like the underwater sections, like those are really cool. I like the spirit, like the hunting, like in the canoe or in the boat and stuff like that. Like those are the things that like I really really like because I just haven't really experienced that in a video game before. But I definitely think it's great. I personally put 2 over 4, but I'm not going to be mad if it goes up the number 4 spot.
I think really like the biggest thing is that like this strays so far away from being like an assassin game. Like you're definitely just not an assassin at all. You're just a guy. Like you're just a person who finds assassin gloves and is like, yes, I have a hidden blade now. And eventually he does become part of the crew and whatever, but like definitely just was not that. But I like the character. Like the character was fun, and like the pirate stuff. Like it like what Logan said. It's like we were waiting for a pirate game, and we finally got it, and it was great, and it was really fun, and yeah.
The thing I will say to Black Flag, go ahead, Mario. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that he had a fantastic supporting cast as well, like with both Blackbeard and then Jason Kidd, and then of course the.
Did you say Jason Kidd?
Sorry,
the guard of the New Jersey Nets.
No, he's
what's the one dude
he's dating a Natalia. No, I'm talking about the girl.
What's the name?
What was that? I'm sorry.
The black dude that gets his own thing later.
I forgot his name, but it's like Adeoye.
I know it's like
Adeoye,
Adeoye, yeah, because blessing. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it is Adeoye.
Adeoye, but then he also in the Jason Kidd thing was he had the character that was a man who was really a woman pretending to be a pirate or pretending to be a man pirate. No, you don't remember who I'm talking about?
No. I think I remember.
Don't remember that.
Oh wow, she made an impression on me. Only because I thought she was pretty fun. And then when the things that happened to those characters happened, and the way that Blackbeard wasn't really like a cutthroat pirate, those to me were fun aspects of that game, and that's what made me enjoy that world.
So we're putting Black Flag at 3.
That's what I'm saying.
I think I would put it there.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think we got a list.
Yeah, I'm just letting him.
And I think we should all replay through the Ezio trilogy and Rogue before Valhalla comes out.
I saw some footage of it.
And then we can update this list later.
I'll definitely play through.
I'll try Rogue.
At least Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood. I feel like that is like a missing part because I don't even know.
We have Revelations 2. It's the Ezio trilogy.
Yeah. I almost have all the games.
If you like Black Flag, play Rogue. So all right. So we got our list from the top down. Coming at number 1, we got Assassin's Creed Origins. Number 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Number 3, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Number 4, Assassin's Creed 2. Number 5, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Number 6, Assassin's Creed Rogue. Number 7, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Number 8, Assassin's Creed Revelations. Number 9, Assassin's Creed. Number 10, Assassin's Creed 3. Number 11, Assassin's Creed Liberation. And coming last at number 12, Assassin's Creed Unity.
We're gonna get so much shit for Liberation. I feel.
I don't think. Why would we?
I am much
the
happier.
Vita stands will climb out of their holes.
Yeah, this was a lot more friendlier conversation than.
For sure.
Maybe we wouldn't have, I'm happy we didn't have like crazy fights about it because all these games are great. Like I'm
pulling the last second coup for Odyssey. Get it up in the top two.
No.
If we think Origins is number one, Odyssey shouldn't be that much further down. Come on, people.
Scott comes out of nowhere. Ryan shows up.
My personal list, I would put Odyssey like at the number 8 spot on my personal list.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm surprised Origins is even number 1.
No, I'm super happy. Like I feel so.
I'm happy with it.
It wasn't until recently that like people have started playing Origins and being like, oh my god, Origins is great and it's better than Odyssey. I'm like, thank you. I've been saying this forever.
Yeah.
It's an awesome game.
It's really great.
I'm gonna replay it I'm replaying it right now. I can't wait to beat it again. And then go back to Odyssey because I really want to play that. So
so that is our Assassin's Creed DualShockers ranking. So if you want, you can follow us on Twitter at DualShockers. You can see all of our news articles and all that jazz on DualShockers.com. And if you guys want to plug your stuff, you can follow me at the Cinephile Guy on Twitter. If you want to follow me, Logan.
Hi, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Moreman12.
Michael.
I am on Twitter at the Michael Ruiz.
And Mario.
And you can find me at that Mario Rivera, also at the YouTube channel that you're watching this on at youtube.com/DualShockers.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening, and we will be back next time.
No, for sure.
Next time when we rank the Dark Souls games.
Yes, great.
Bloodborne's just at the top, right?
Bloodborne 1, 3, 2.